Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Come one, come all. Good morning. Good morning, Jonathan. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Tiffany. We got Carrie, Snazzy Trinkets, Bad Girl, Desiree, Captain Ganja, Crimes Have Consequences, Angie B, Mrs. Fletcher, Sayward. Good morning. Y'all, we're going to have to do a poll and see who actually watched this, but we're going to go over my notes. I took extensive notes last night to compare what we know before to what we know now. Good morning, proud fur mom. I hope you have a good day today. Lucy, it is chilly down here in Florida. Can you imagine what it is in the rest of the country? Good morning, Kimberly. Schnazzy, April Wine. April Wine was up late with us last night. Janine, good morning. Rhonda, good morning. Thank you, April. Life's a beach. Good morning. Just Robin. Decorating the tree. You wanted to watch here. April, first time on Discord last night. It was fun. We watched the interview on Discord last night and I took notes. Hey, Tobeans. And Stella, good morning. Angie B. Marie Davis. It is chilly everywhere, huh? Good morning. Good morning. Hit that like button, guys. The cooter pond is frozen, says Desiree. Well, I'm not going to play it because I really don't want to give Sean an opportunity to, strike my channel or anything like that. But that's okay because I took extensive notes. And there's a link pinned if anyone wants to come up and interject while we walk through my notes. But the first thing that I want to do, good morning, Suze and Lisa and Kasim, Kels, Maggie, good morning. Seems like they'll never stop fucking with everything. Yeah, I mean, my notes are good. Okay, but first what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video because this came out yesterday. I'm sure you guys mostly have seen it. But I thought we could start out with this and then get into Sean's latest live stream.
We will find Sebastian. We will bring him home.
9 months later, Sebastian Rogers' father holds on to hope as he continues to search for his missing son. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Wilgus. The reward for Sebastian has increased following new tips and a lead that led investigators to believe they had found the teen. News 2's Caitlin Quisenberry has more.
Never going to stop. You don't stop halfway between a goal, and try is just the first way of failing. We will find Sebastian. We will bring him home.
For the last 8 months, there's been no sign of Sumner County teen Sebastian Rogers. Several agencies, including law enforcement, have searched for Sebastian before pulling back to focus on the, quote, investigative side. In September, Doug the Bounty Hunter joined the search.
They're really quick to jump on every tip that is validated.
On Friday, Doug the Bounty Hunter received a tip.
We understand you reported seeing a boy matching Sebastian's description at the Motel 6 in Goodlettsville.
According to At Night Private Intelligence, on Monday, a team of licensed investigators and contractors acted on that tip after seeing a boy matching Sebastian's description walk into a motel room. At 4:47 that afternoon, investigators called 911. The Sumner County Sheriff's Department arrived on scene. The individual identified was found not to be Sebastian.
Unfortunately, it wasn't Sebastian, but with that kind of movement and that kind of force, we're going to find Sebastian.
Today, the reward for information on Sebastian Rogers' whereabouts increased again from $175,000 to $200,000. At Night reported the increase was due to an escalation in credible tips and possible relation to the presence of a transnational gang from Venezuela in Tennessee. In the meantime, Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, is clinging to hope.
Every day, I hope for the phone call that brings the lead in, that puts him back where I can just look at him and give him a hug. I mean, I miss my son.
With the holidays and Sebastian's 16th birthday around the corner, Seth tells me he does not want to miss any more moments without his son by his side.
I'm hoping with everything that's coming into play, everything that's being reported, that he'll be home before he turns 16.
Anyone with information can call Dog the Bounty Hunter's tip line, the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, the TBI, or your local FBI office.
So what do you guys think of that? The Venezuelan gang being brought up. What are your thoughts? You guys said it seems like lies. Yeah, I don't understand the whole Motel 6 either. So it was the Motel 6 in Gallatin. And again, the link is pinned. If anybody wants to come up and interject, you are more than welcome to come up and talk through this with me. Lake and Riley's killer was Venezuelan. Coincidence? I think not, says Vivian. Yes, I don't know. So it allegedly was at the Gallatin, or not Gallatin, Goodlettsville. Goodlettsville, where Terrellyn's kin lives. That's where the Motel 6 was. And I'm wondering who was staking out the Motel 6 to see a kid that looked like Sebastian. It's weird, right? Goodlettsville, yeah. Sorry, I said the wrong town. And then they said there was a sports car, and yeah. Y'all don't believe it? Put a 1 if you believe anything about the Motel 6. Put a 2 if you don't believe it. 1 if you believe the sighting at Motel 6 was legit and just ended up not being Sebastian. Put a 2 if you believe it or you don't believe it. Yeah, I agree, Ganja. Lie once, always a lie, so I don't buy it. Homie D-Man, hey, how are you? Proof the news will run info without vetting. Good morning, Naomi. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. Good morning, B-Tim. Some of you think it was legit. Most of you think, She does, Kels. I feel the gang accusation is just feeding the political rhetoric over the immigration panic. Yeah, so White Boy Lockdown Radio had a call with Don last night where he brought up this whole Venezuelan thing. And Don was all about it. Like, oh, yeah. Don said, ever since Biden came in office, I lost all 4 of my children. So, you do the math. Crimes have consequences. Why aren't you looking? And it's stupid. Sorry, the Venezuelan gangs don't come to get kids. The gangs, these people will take your house and pew where you stand. $200,000. So the extra money was pledged again. We still have the 50,000 from the FBI. And then now we have the 150,000 pledged from the rest. Desiree says Seth's lied too many times. Story changes, little details. Why would a Venezuelan gang want a 15-year-old boy, says Rebel Soul. Good morning, Cooter family. Hello, Megan May. The gang has been a lot in the news in Nashville a lot the last 2 weeks. Interesting. Well, good morning there, Mr. Shane Culkin. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Good morning, Hummingbird. Yeah, they're bringing up Venezuelan gang, and they said it's a transnational search, which means more than two countries, I guess. Half Sour says pledge like Amber Heard pledged. Amber Turd. Good morning, Ann. Good morning, Northern Yankee. I don't believe anything since day one that comes out of Seth's mouth. I could see if there was a ransom, says Girl Next Door, but gangs? I wish you did too, Shane. It wouldn't be hard to get caught up, Shane. It's been the same rhetoric for about 7 months. Nene says, I think the 150,000 doesn't exist. Only the FBI's is real. Good morning, Casey and Lovey. The Venezuelan gangs do exist, and they have made it to Tennessee, but no, I don't believe they have anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. Lucky says, I feel the same. Griff Tubers says, Hurt Locker. Good morning, be the change you seek. Tennessee, yeah, and the hotel the police went to is on the other side of Nashville. I thought it was Goodlettsville. Maggie says I wasn't comfortable with the whole interview last night. Okay, well, I think we should get into that interview. I am going to go through my notes. Are you guys ready? Okay. So we started out at February 25th. So Tony had him go back to the day before. And Seth says that he was speaking with new officers before leaving work, just shooting the shit. He says he got to his truck at 7:20 and saw the missed call and text from Chris saying 911. Now you guys can interject if you want to chime in and chat, if you want to come up here. If there's anything that, pops in your head like, oh, this was said before, please let me know. So this is one thing that was new to me anyways. He said that the call and text came through from Chris at 6:22 a.m. Good morning, Pearl Girl. So that lines up with what the Proudfoot said, right? They called the sheriff's department at 6:33. So at 6:22, Chris called Seth's phone and texted it, according to Seth. And he didn't get it for an hour when he got to his truck. But he did say that Chris called at 6:22. So that timeline kind of matches up. He said that Chris said, don't be mad. Seb's missing. The cops are at our house when he called him back. That was what Chris said. Don't be mad. Sebastian's missing. The cops are at our house. So he leaves pedal to the metal, he says. And he said it took him an hour to get from work to Chris and Katie's. Now, that was one inconsistency. I thought that he said before it was 35 minutes. Now he's rounding it off to an hour. He was asked if he called anyone on his phone. He said no. So now he's saying he drove for an hour and didn't call anyone. Yes, runs with scissors. He did say other versions of that. Why would he say don't be mad? I don't know. Did he even say that? Can we believe it? Why wouldn't they ask Seth, have you seen Sebastian, or is he with you? He said he didn't speed. He didn't want to get a ticket. He was focusing on the road. Yep, but this time he said he was pedal to the metal. Granny, if you want to come up, the link is pinned, babe. Okay, so we got through that. Pedal to the metal and didn't call anyone. Cops didn't have the house on lockdown when he got there. He was beside himself. that all these officers were walking in and out. He said it didn't look like they were doing anything, yada, yada, yada. But when he walked in, he said that Katie shoved her phone in his face with that picture of Sebastian and said he was having a good day. He was happy or whatever. Oh, get your coffee at Wawa. It's a definite must. Yeah, he had a good day. He went into Sebastian's room at Katie's and said his switch was still plugged in and sitting on the floor. His bed was not made. That was the condition of Sebastian's room. And it's going to be interesting to note because the search at Seth sounds a lot different. Then he said he kept leaving there. Oh, wait. And they did not take CP or KP's electronics when they first got to the house. And that's going to be important in a minute. When he left and drove around, he said he would leave the house. No one was talking to him. No one greeted him, et cetera, et cetera. No one asked who he was. So he was just wandering around, and then he would leave and then come back. He would go search and drive on the roads, hollering Sebastian's name. He ended up, now this is what was weird. He ended up at the highest point in Sumner County, which I found out last night through our lovely ladies in Tennessee that were in the Discord, that the highest point in Sumner County is actually near Sebastian's neighborhood. So he said he wound up driving around. He ended up at the highest point in Sumner County, and he was speaking to a gentleman. And the gentleman said, "Who are you looking for?" And he said, "I'm looking for my son." And he said the guy had never heard anything about it. So that was the first thing that I've ever heard of that. Mystic Firefly, do you grill your husband this often and this hard every day, Jay? Mystic Firefly, wouldn't you love to know what goes on behind closed doors at my house? But you think I'm going to share that with you? I don't think so. I don't think so, lady.
You're being a Karen.
Okay, so let's see what else. They did not take CP or KP's electronics initially. He says the cops weren't doing anything. Seth was walking through the house in uniform. So it's important to note that he was there and he showed up in his uniform. Obviously he left from work, so he was in his uniform. He said no one was paying any attention. He said about Sebastian, if he's mad at you, he will try to stay mad as long as possible, but it doesn't always work. They not like us. They not like us. Da-da-da-da. Then he said about Sebastian's phone that he had, quote, that phone couldn't do anything. So he said he actually asked CP and KP, can you at least let him have a calculator on his phone? Can you at least?
You're awesome.
Can you at least let him have a calculator on his phone? That's the first I heard about this. Melly Ann, I agree. No one's calling anyone a liar. We are reading notes from his latest interview. So if y'all are going to get your panties in a twist, it's a little early for that. It's a little early this Saturday morning to have your panties all bunched up. That's got to be uncomfortable. Chill. We're going over notes. Why does that make you mad? Okay. Here's another thing that we didn't know that he said. This is from the interview last night. Yes. CP and KP complained that Sebastian was watching YouTube videos on his phone at night. You don't believe the phone was locked down? Well, there's hidden calculator apps too. So I don't know. So about Katie, he said that he was not there to hang out, that, quote, she's drugged me through the dirt. The cops told him that he needed to stay around, but he kept leaving. He was looking under bridges. When he would leave the Proudfoots, he was driving around, and he specifically said he was looking under bridges. Yeah, that's the first about the YouTube videos too. Then he talked about the route that he would take home. And when he was at the Proudfoots, the cops said that they wanted to go to his house. So on the day that Sebastian went missing, at 2:30, they go to Seth's and they're searching his home for an hour and a half. He said before this, let's back up. Before they went to his house, Seth stated that he called his neighbors because he wasn't going home. He called his neighbors and said, have you seen him? Or please look out for him. Then he also said that he sent someone to his house to put a note on the door for Sebastian. Granny, that's what he said. He said that he had someone go over and put a note on the door. Hey, Lip Locked, good morning. Both Seth and Katie have previously said he watched YouTube videos. Katie said it on Queen. Oh, I didn't hear that. I've never heard that about him watching videos at night. So he says they trashed his son's room. They flipped the bed over. And they had no reason for some of what they were doing. And he told them that. Then they said, can we take your electronics? He said they took a Switch, PS4, Sebastian's PlayStation. He didn't say what version that one was. He just said PS4 and then Sebastian's PlayStation. A tablet from 2020 that he got in 2020, and he hasn't used it. He said that they charged the tablet, and the detective said, oh, this hasn't been used since 2021. Then he said they didn't take Sebastian's laptop, that the laptop is still sitting in his kitchen. So they took this tablet, but he says they didn't take his laptop. And then he says that they didn't want Seth's laptop. I repeat, they didn't want Seth's laptop. Um, 2 weeks later, he asked, can I get my stuff back? And the reason he explained to us was that he uses the PlayStation to watch TV. So 2 weeks in, he said, he wanted him back, and it was because he couldn't watch TV. Right. I don't know what happened to the whole Microsoft thing, the whole Riley Lively thing. I don't know. Well, wait, we're going to get to more devices, Vivian. We're going to get to more devices. Hey, Southern-ish. Oh, and they kept bringing up Kathy Bowersox throughout this. So in the very beginning, Tony was like, who was all there when you got to Katie's? And he's like, I don't remember. But then later on, he remembered that it was Kathy Bowersox, and she was talking about the jewelry that she was going to get on this next vacation. So it all came back to him eventually. The next day, after Sebastian went missing, they took their phones the next day. He only has one working phone, but he has two phones. He has one working phone, which has service, The other phone he uses he hooks up to Wi-Fi for music and YouTube so that when his phone rings, his YouTube videos don't get interrupted. Good morning, Chris. So they took his phone and they had it for 12 hours to download the whole thing. I'm still unclear if they took the phone that he uses to Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure he said they took both. So when Seth was calling and saying, can I get my stuff back? He told Chris that he can't even watch TV because he doesn't have his PS to watch TV. So 2 weeks in, Chris said, oh, well, you can come over here and get the PlayStation here and use that one. And Seth was like, what do you mean? You still have your PlayStation? And Chris was like, yes. So then when it came time where Seth was going to get it, Chris said, I can't give it to you because my account was hacked and Minecraft and things like that were charged on my account. Right, get a Fire Stick. Tim. Did you hear that, though? Chris told him he could come get the PlayStation and then said, I can't give it to you because my account was hacked. And someone bought Minecraft and other things on my account. Right, Truth Seeker. I just use Do Not Disturb. I don't need two phones. Who was calling this guy so much? I mean, I'm a YouTuber. I watch a fuck of a lot of YouTube. Okay? A fuck of a lot of YouTube. It's the most that I watch is YouTube. I don't watch much of anything else anymore. Cable and such. And I don't have two devices to watch it from. That's weird. And did he have that many phone calls coming in that he needed a second phone to like, oh, I don't get interrupted? That's weird. The hacking is new information. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, do you guys have two devices so that when your phone rings, you don't get interrupted? I don't know. I find that to be a little extreme, but especially for someone who didn't really have many friends, you know what I'm saying? Like before this, doesn't really know many people, whatever. Like how many people are ringing his phone? I mean, before this crimes, yeah, he's a big deal now, right? He's blown up. He needs a secretary for fuck's sake. I mean, I'm talking before. This is before Sebastian went missing, right? I just don't, yeah. That's why Uncle Taco had phone 1 and phone 2 of Seth in his phone book. Ooh, Northern Yankee. I forgot about that. What about his laptop? He said they didn't want it. No dating, girlfriends, close friends in 7 years, but phone ringing off the hook. Right. Got it. So that didn't really, strike me as being true why he would have the two phones, but nonetheless, I digress. But Chris said, no, you can't have it. It was hacked. So they searched for an hour and a half at his apartment. And after they searched his apartment that day, so we're back to the first day where Sebastian went missing, they told his ass to stay home. So they were at his house at 2:30 p.m. They searched for about an hour and a half. That would take us to 4 p.m. on February 26th. And he was at home while they searched, and they said, stay home. Do not go back to Katie's that day. So he was also told not to go in the woods. So he goes to Katie's February 27th. He leaves his house at 4 a.m. to go back to Katie's. He gets there at 5:15. He said before the sun came up. So he's back at CP and KP's on February 27th, and he checks in with LE, he says. And then he tells us that the detectives were at the house and the search crews were at the command center. He said about the questions and the electronics being taken, he said, I didn't see it happening to them, meaning CP and KP. And then he also said in the interview last night, my shit's verified. This is an interesting one. So, we've all heard, we've all talked about the fact that they didn't come out in the very beginning to the media. So he said that TBI told them not to do any interviews. Agent Simmons said not to do any interviews. Then Chris Proudfoot called him and said, hey, we're doing an interview. Would you like to be a part of it? And Seth was like, what do you mean you're doing an interview? I thought that we were told not to. And then Chris said, no, that was not to talk to the press. So take that for what it's worth. Switch COs. What is that? Hold on. I can't read my own notes. Oh, yeah. So he kept the old phone with Wi-Fi to watch creepy pastas. And Tony said, how do you go to sleep at night? He said, I turn on creepy pastas and listen till I pass out. Granny, did you want to come up? Anybody? I'll never get past the date, February 26th. Yeah. Remember, Terrell said Seth got kicked out of the command center? Yes. So what was interesting is that he made mention that the detectives were at the house, search crews at the command center. So I'm wondering, did he show up in uniform that next day when he went back to Katie's? Oh, you're still going to Wawa? I forgot. Sorry. Yeah, he said he listens to creepypasta store, I guess. What is that, B. Tim? I heard they're like stories, but I don't know what that is. Creepy stories. He said that that him and Sebastian would listen to creepypasta while they cooked. I know. How long does it take to go to friggin' Wawa? There's probably a Wawa in every corner in PA. Creepypasta is a horror-related legend that has been shared around the internet. The term creepypasta has become a catch-all term for any horror content posted on the internet. Really? What's up?
Yeah.
Hey, B. Tim.
What's up? Creepypasta is basically made up internet horror stories by people on the internet, and they just grab images and they make a whole horror story about it. Those two girls that try to sacrifice their friend in the woods for
Slender Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be part of the creepypasta thing, that type of stuff.
Oh, and they
or Jack something like Jack Smiling Jack or something like that, where this deformed kid with a smile comes to your house and murders you or something like that. A lot of that would be I would not think young children should be listening to probably creepypasta. Some of them.
Yeah, to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's a little odd. I usually do not listen to, that's not the subject matter, but I've listened to I've listened to it. It's some people make up new types of horror stories and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot of things like the back rooms, creepypasta, SCP, stuff like that. Basically new internet horror short stories. But I don't know I would probably let a 15-year-old listen to a bunch of creepypastas about people being murdered and monsters and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's what he said. He said, I put on creepy pastas till I pass out. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a little odd. I guess.
I mean,
But
I
it is
do
what it
listen
is.
to true crime to fall asleep, though. I have to say.
Yeah, that's creepy pasta basically. Not, you know what I mean? I just thought it was interesting that he has all these devices and all that stuff, and
Right.
very odd.
Right. So did you watch this last night?
I watched parts of it like here and there because I had to go to bed, but it felt like a lot of his answers were being fed by Mr. Tony Mathis,
Mm-hmm.
implying an answer, and he seemed a little out of it, and he seemed like he was adding stuff to it, and he's kind of forgetting the lies that he added to it in the other previous interviews. He's even got the timeline of events wrong, where he like left his job to how long it got there. He's even got that wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and he keeps on every time he keeps on saying, and the story slightly changes here and there. It's like getting to a problem now, because now you got like 15 interviews where the guy has changed the story multiple times, and that's usually not a good situation for a lot of because that's exactly what detectives and stuff kind of focus on. If you basically tell your story and then you slightly change it and then they start checking out your background, if there's actually truth to it. So I don't know.
Exactly, B Tim. You know what I found to be the most, and we haven't gotten to that part yet, but the most intriguing part of this was what detective agent Simmons said to him.
Oh, what did he say?
They were playing the what if game, and he said,
Oh yeah, I listened to that.
yeah, what if you paid someone to kidnap your son? And his response, well, last time I looked, I didn't win the fucking lottery.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like he looks to the sides, like he's trying to think, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? Like, what type of response is that? Like, why don't you just say, no, I did not, I would never do something like that? And also, it kind of like it's a little odd that he raises a GoFundMe in his sister's name of $25,000. He's like, I need $25,000 3 days after my son's missing to help me live, basically. And then he's jumping in, throwing his like Cash App in every single chat. And it's just a very odd situation that has occurred, because you get that type of question and then you have this rush for money, and then you just a very odd situation.
B Tim, did it surprise you to hear that Agent Simmons was questioning him like that?
No, it doesn't really surprise me, because he's probably thinking this is a contentious relationship, they're divorced. Maybe that's one possible theory that comes into play, because that's they're following up everything. But it is an unusual question. I mean, not an unusual question. I mean, didn't they do that with Lonnie Simon when she tried to blame her ex of kidnapping Quentin Simon, and they had to go and question him and be like, hey, did you try to kidnap your son or something like that? I think
Yeah.
they usually
Well,
they usually do that.
I thought it was interesting just to hear him admit kind of that the pressure, I mean, it doesn't sound like it was going very well when they were sitting face to face, right? For him to say, all right, we're playing the what if game. Like, it seems like maybe Agent Simmons was a little frustrated and it turned into that kind of a conversation.
Yeah. I don't know if he was frustrated. We don't know his state of mind, but like that's probably what the officer's trying to do. He's trying to basically get him to kind of slip up, and him talking about money, like, to me is a little odd, because you would think to be like, well, that's the last thing I would ever do. I would never kidnap my own son. But then he talks about, well, I don't have enough money. So it's like, were you like thinking about how much money it would cost you to kidnap your son on the off days or something?
Yeah, it's an odd
Like,
response.
yeah, I've never heard that response, to be honest with you, where someone is contemplating the costs associated to kidnapping your own son.
Yeah, good point.
And yeah, because usually you just say, no, I would never do that. I was at work at so and so time. I would never kidnap my own son. That's ridiculous. But he's like, well, did I look like I won the lottery? It's like, okay, sir. Well, did you calculate the cost of kidnapping your son before we had this meeting?
Yeah. Yeah. Odd
Okay.
response.
And then you have another interview with that crime, lies, whatever. He says, well, she asks, do you have any inkling where he is? And he says, well, I don't have the money or resources to track him down or something like that.
Yes.
And I'll just wing it. You know what I mean? Which is like, you're sitting like, okay, wait a minute. You have an idea where your son is and you're not telling the police. You're just going to wait until you get a certain amount of funds to track your son down and wing it.
Yeah, I never understood that either.
Yeah, it's just very odd, very odd. But Tony looked very stressed. He was very much lost a lot of weight, I think. It's very, very stressed, actually.
You think Tony looks stressed?
Yeah, he looks like he lost a lot of weight, man.
He does look like he's lost some weight. I thought that too.
Yeah, and also you know, so I don't know what's going on there. And he was like spoon feeding him the questions to lead him in a direction to blame other people. You can clearly see he was just like showing the question. He's asking questions, implying the answer to it, which is like a pretty big no-no when you're doing interviews because it's like you don't really want to do that.
Granny says, "What isn't odd about all this?"
Yeah, agreed.
I had a hard time watching it. It was like I was kind of like getting mad because honestly, like to the point where I almost didn't want to watch it. Did you feel that way?
Did I feel I was getting mad? I don't really get mad with interviews. I just try to listen to like what I can.
Well, not really mad, but you know, it's just like, oh my God, the same old thing. Like it's just getting so old.
It is getting old. I think he's kind of just repeating the same thing. Katie bad, me good. But I would just, one of the questions I would probably ask, and I don't know if they were asked this, but like, did anyone ask him about the Venezuelan?
Not one time was it brought up. Not one time.
I would have been a question I would have asked. I would have been like, what, your son, you know, was recently seen in a hotel and at night stated that, you know, a Venezuelan gang has some connections. Do you know anything about that? You know what I mean? That would have been a question I would have been asking. Like, and the second question I would have been, if he would have said, yeah, we believe that my son was kidnapped by a Venezuelan international gang of kidnappers, then I would probably be like, well, don't you think it's kind of messed up that you're kind of attacking your ex-wife who's innocent in all this?
Yeah.
If you believe a Venezuelan international gang has kidnapped your son, I mean, I don't believe it.
No.
I think it's just LARPing by this group of people that have used this child to, you know, do their platform marketing. But yeah, it's weird. But that would have been a question I would have asked. I'm kind of shocked no one asked that question, to be honest with you.
Nope, it never came up, especially considering that new news thing came out right before.
Yeah, that would have been my question. And I would have been like, of course, I would have been like kind of sensitive to it because I would, you know, first off, if I would think that if that gang actually did exist and there were actually, you know, my son was being held by this gang, the last thing I would do is go to the press, because then once the gang finds out that they know you have your son and they're tracking you down, they're going to get rid of your son.
Right. I'd be worried they would unalive him. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just going to get rid of him to get rid of the evidence and just walk away from it.
We know it's bullshit.
Yeah. And also there's like no actual, you know, actual thing. Like, why would they kidnap a 15-year-old, you know, teenager? There's no money incentive. There's no, like, you know, anything really. I mean, honestly, that would make any sense. And also, you would be more of a struggle. You know, it just doesn't make sense. And it's just, I just feel like it's LARPing.
Well, he also put a personal statement out to Eric Craddock. I don't know if you saw that part.
No, what did he say?
Oh, basically, he told Eric Craddock he was ashamed of him, that he could be a better sheriff in his sleep, that he is not worth the badge that he wears on his chest. All kinds of things.
And the problem with that is a very bad thing to do as a parent when you're dealing with this, because I remember the Dylan Rounds case, the mother of Dylan Rounds said that was one of her biggest mistakes, was actually kind of going at Ellie like that they are usually the people that are working the ground. You know, the FBI are not on the case right away, and it's usually the LE that's kind of there. So kind of attacking LE is probably the worst decision you can do in this type of case, actually.
Well, and it was such an oxymoron, Tim, because in the next breath they talked about the tip at the motel and how quickly Sumner County showed up, you know, once their investigators reported it or whatever. But then on the other hand, he's bashing Sumner County Sheriff. It's like, dude, you can't have it both ways. And you wonder why they don't want to talk to you.
I mean, I think they did a lot, actually. They made the largest search for his, you know, they had drones out there. They had dogs out there.
Absolutely.
They had a bunch of officers out there. The FBI has raised $50,000. I mean, like, it feels kind of insulting because there's a lot of people that have gone missing and they don't even get like 10% of the attention or the money that is actually spent searching for them. And it's actually kind of an insult to a lot of the hardworking officers
It is.
that
I
have,
mean,
you
Eric
know,
Craddock went out last weekend and found a 4-year-old autistic boy with his drone. He was out there,
yeah,
boots on the ground. It's like, to say all of this, it's ludicrous. Just makes
yeah.
him look
And
like a bigger piece of shit, in my opinion.
yeah, and it's like the people feeding him, he's got a lot of yes men around him that are just feeding him like, oh, what you want to hear, what you want to hear. And he just wants to bash everyone but,
Yeah.
himself and all his mistakes.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
I don't like it. I don't like the attacks on the sheriff. I think it's such a trashy look.
It's a bad tactic. You never want to do that with local LE because they are the ones building the case. And like, you don't know what's in their mind. They could be building a case against someone and they're just keeping quiet. I've seen many a times where they've built up in a whole case. They've gotten, Lalani Simon, where the boyfriend, they literally wired up the FBI to do like an interview, like to like trick Lalani in the hotel for a couple
Yeah,
of
they
days.
wired up Danny.
Yeah, and no one knew about it. No one knew he was actually working with the FBI until the trial.
Right. That was pretty crazy because everyone just assumed he took off, but he was really working with LE the whole time. So we don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know what's going on with the police and what they're doing. Luckily, because these idiots would probably blast it online and everyone would know, which is, defeats the point of an investigation. You don't want to let the suspect know that you know their lies and you're trying to unravel it.
Right.
But I just find it very interesting. One part I was confused is that his phone location, was his phone in his locker or his phone was in his car?
I'm under the assumption that it was in his car because he said he was shooting the shit after work with employees. And then when he got back to his truck in the parking garage at 7:20 was when he saw the text and missed call. So
Yeah,
I was assuming it was in his car, but I don't know.
yeah, I get confused with that. He also, acts like he just walked on the scene, plain clothes, and it seems like some people have said that he didn't change his clothes and he was actually in uniform.
He said
So that
that
would
last
explain,
night, that he was in
yeah.
uniform. Yep.
So that would explain why they kind of let him in, because you have another officer walking into the scene. It's a very chaotic situation. And he's got a uniform on. So that would explain why they didn't stop him if he walked in with a uniform on. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
That would explain it perfectly.
Does that also explain the rumor that we heard that he went to the command center the next day and got booted?
Yeah, well, which you're not supposed to do because it's an open investigation. They don't know if you kidnapped your son or not, or did something to your son.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is a suspect. You have to basically keep all the information limited to them. And I don't know. I mean,
he could have showed up there in his uniform and kind of blended in because they had so many different agencies there. There were like different uniforms and yeah. He didn't say anything about that, but he did say specifically the next day he left at 4 a.m. from his home because they told him to stay home after they searched his house. He left at 4 a.m. and he was back at CP and KP's. He said at 5:15 before the sun came up, and that all the search people were at the command center, detectives were at the house. So he said that he didn't see them being grilled like he was, or their phones and electronics being taken like his were.
well, how would he know that?
Mm-hmm. Well, he was there, I guess. Well, when he walked into Sebastian's room, he said his switch was still plugged in and on the floor, is what he said. And the cops had already been in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think like Chris and Katie weren't like allowing their son to sleep while listening to creepypastas and play 12 hours in video games by himself. So that's probably why they kind of checked off that devices, because he's being monitored, which,
Right. No, I thought the same thing, Tim. I thought that maybe they proved that he didn't have access to all this shit and they didn't have a reason to really look.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever like actually looked into creepypasta? It's not something you probably let a 15-year-old kid probably listen to. So, like,
no, it sounds kind of dark. I mean, honestly,
it's pretty dark. It's definitely like talking about let me pull up creepypasta. If you ever do creepypasta stories, like
Where do you
Like,
listen
I
to them, B. Tim?
You could just type it on YouTube. It's a whole subsect. We all started basically on a forum. And people would just grab an image and they would make a creepy story about it. So that's how the Slender Man stuff started. They grabbed an image, someone made like an image of it, and it became like an urban myth, an online urban myth. And then people have just basically grabbed images or just created new stories out of, the nether, and they just put it online. They just make like they read in a creepy voice, and they got the music on. So, like for instance, like the dead internet, like I just typed it up on YouTube. He says the dead internet theory, Society of the Broken Necks, the train I usually take has changed its course and now it's headed nowhere. Creepypasta. Everyone in my town knows the day they are going to die. Mine was yesterday.
This
that's
case
just an
is a
example.
creepypasta story.
Well, I don't know about that, but
God.
maybe Jack the Killer will come out.
I mean,
I don't
that
know,
doesn't
but
sound like bedtime stories to me.
yeah, that's not bed. That's why I said, like, when I heard that bedtime stories, I listened to creepypasta. I'm like, I don't think I would be listening to that because But yeah, let's read my favorite creepypasta. It does. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. That was weird. Very weird. Let me see.
What's wrong, Crimes? What do you give up for? Let me go back. Seth said he
Yeah.
wasn't home for. Okay, I saw your comments, hon. He doesn't even work there anymore. How do you know that, Crimes? We don't know if he works there or not.
Yeah, like here's an example. This one's like 12 years ago. I think this was Jeff the Killer is the one from 12 years ago. It's been going on for years, but here,
Jeff the Killer.
imagine Jeff the Killer, and look at that image. Imagine if you're like listening to this and you're about to go to bed.
Hell no.
Yeah, that's why I said like that's a little odd to listen to when you're about to go to sleep.
Yeah, sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. That's just like disfigured face is
Good
staring at
Lord.
you, saying, "Going to bed." Like yeah, that's so weird.
It's definitely creepy. Tammy Zink said maybe people around the father should sit down with him and watch Dylan Round's mother latest interview. She said she wanted to help people with missing loved ones and talks about what to do.
Yeah,
That would
She
take
also
common
said-
sense for them to do that.
Well-
That's a good idea, though.
Well, she would have the best experience because the whole Jim Terry thing.
Oh,
situation.
yeah. That was a mess.
She had to. Yeah, that was the situation. Jim Terry and all the internet drama and all that stuff. And she would probably give him a lot of advice. But the problem is that, like, as she kind of rejected Jim Terry, he kind of like walked right into Jim Terry like people.
Mhm,
You know what I mean? Like, he surrounded himself with people like that. So he did the opposite.
Yeah.
She took it seriously. She, basically focused on finding her son.
Right. She shunned that bullshit.
Yeah. She completely shunned that stuff while he embraced it.
Yeah. He signed contracts with that shit.
Yeah. Which is, it shows you like the difference in 9 Day. And she kept on searching, like she kept it on, but she could tell you she made a mistake in the beginning attacking Ellie early on. She'll tell you that. And the grandparents hiring Jim Terry, of course, that was a horrible mistake. But that shows you never, get your PI from Facebook.
Horrible,
right?
horrible. That guy he is absolutely horrible.
Yeah, that guy is definitely somebody you'd never want to invite on ever.
Mm-mm. Do you know that during that whole thing, when he first came on the scene, I set up an interview with him because he said he was working with the family. And it's a blessing in disguise now, beat him, but he freaking stood me up. Like, I was live and he didn't show up. And I was like, fuck this dude. And I never spoke to him again, but he was like, he went on other channels and he was like, oh, I didn't mean to stand her up. I was like, dude, you're a dick.
Yeah, but like I remember the time Jim Terry was blackmailing Zav Girl. Like Zav Girl had to come out and say that she was being blackmailed by him.
Oh my God.
He was like literally blackmailing like the YouTubers.
Dude, I dodged a bullet with that one. That's all I can say. I'm glad he didn't show up.
Yeah, I remember like he was blackmailing and then he would give BS photos. He gave one BS photo to Tyler Feller, and he was like, here, this is, and he's trying to say like, like, do you see like a bullet or something? He's like, no, he just made it up. He just like tossed it to him. He was just like, he didn't give a fuck about the photo.
Wow.
And it was not related to, he was just like, that's what he only cared about going on the air. And that's what basically Seth has surrounded himself with, people that just want to go on air and make, docuseries, just like how Brittany J laughed at us when we said that there was going to be a docuseries on this. Oh, there's not going to be a docuseries.
Oh my God. Seth's thumbnail last night was a whole freaking docuseries like thumbnail. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, man. I don't see why you would do that. You know what I mean? Like,
It's
I
so
know
weird.
it seems like 9 months is a very long time for a missing, kid, but I mean, it's still not the police still could be looking, and I think like, working on a docuseries is kind of removing your energy from what you should be doing, which is, trying to vet, tips and trying to look for locations, and that does not make sense to me.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It just seems a lot of profit motive by a lot of people, unfortunately.
So I wonder.
So what was the,
Wait, go ahead.
yeah, you go.
No, go
You
ahead.
go.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say, what else stood out to you in that interview?
Oh, all right. Let's go back to the notes. So, oh, this was interesting. So when he first got to Chris and Katie's, Tony's like, so who was there when you first got there? And he was like, I don't remember. Katie was there. And then he's like, I don't remember. And then later on, though, he dropped Katie's friend Lori's last name on the live, which I don't know why he did that. But he said that Lori was there and he dropped her last name and he's like, oh, that's her married name. And he said Kathy was there the second time he was asked and went into detail about this jewelry that she was wanting to buy. And no one was frantic, he said. No one in that house was frantic. I don't believe that for one hot minute.
Doesn't that contradict his earlier statement that she frantically came up to him with the phone and picture
Screaming at him? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like, I honestly think if he's like has nothing to do with it, which I'm to believe, but I think like he's adding new things to the story to make himself sound better and make them sound worse.
Trying to clean it up.
Yeah, and it's making him look more and more suspicious to a lot of people. Because when you're changing the story and adding new elements and adding like, this person's not nervous, and before, she's frantically showing on the phone. Now they're talking about jewelry and just chilling and relaxing like they're having a cup of tea. That makes people like raise their like brow and say, why is the story changing every single time you go online?
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons why there might be a change in the story is that he is trying to get people to go at his ex-wife and to get more sympathy for himself, because there's a profit motive to it. There's a profit motive at this point. It's to build his channel to make money and to get donations. That's pretty much it.
Well, and they're also having another event on Sebastian's birthday on December 7th in Hendersonville. They don't know where it's going to be yet, but more details to come.
Yeah, well, my feelings on that. I think it's a waste of time to do things like that. I think probably organized searches and stuff like that would be better than having a bunch of people sit around and drink and eat food while money's being donated to other causes. I don't think that's appropriate, actually. I don't agree with that. I think it's a waste of resources. Franny says, likely so. When Ellie wants to, Ellie arrests him, he has following believing he's innocent, especially hearing he is the main suspect and they treated him as such from the. You know what? I've seen people do a whole publicity stunt where they try to make everyone, like the press, believe that they're innocent. A certain Karen Reed did that,
Yeah.
And also apparently messages came out in that case that she was directing the addresses of the rolling rally and giving information of the witnesses that would testify against her. So just a thought.
Just saying.
People that don't have to worry about, possibly being arrested don't focus all their time on the press. Let's just say that much. That's my opinion on that
Oh,
one.
Jammer said he said 2 events. One is going to be private, the other public, but it's yet to be determined. So 2 events?
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't
don't
understand
understand
these.
it.
I don't understand these events. They make no sense to me.
I don't
Like,
understand it either.
I mean, would you be holding a multiple events like this if like your child was missing, or would you be like focusing on like
I feel
trying
like I
to?
would want to get these people together as a group to like do some organized searches or something.
Yeah, yeah, or at the very least, if you're going to fundraise for billboards or something, because now you're saying that he's being held in a Venezuelan gang apparently, who's traveling.
International.
Yeah,
Oh my
which
God. He's in New York.
which
He's in Oregon. He's in another country. He's with a Venezuelan gang.
like when Dolly's calling you out, it's like you're fucking taking
You've
all
gone
the
too
meat.
far, man.
You've gone way too far. And Dolly's the voice of reason and morals.
Right.
You know you fucked up.
When Dolly starts to make sense, you know you've gone too far, bro.
Yeah, I was sitting there, I was listening to his rant, and I was like, oh my God, I'm agreeing with Dolly here.
That's
What the
hilarious.
fuck?
That's
What
hilarious.
happened?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but it's not. It's like, where is this boy?
Yeah, what did the truth serum thing? I heard that they basically threw Dog the Bounty Hunter under the bus with the truth serum.
Oh, yeah, Tony did. Tony did. I'm trying to think. I didn't write that down.
Like they were blaming him for spreading the rumors of the truth
Oh,
serum.
one thing Tony said was the first time he got on the phone. Yes, when he got on the phone with Dog the Bounty Hunter, Dog the Bounty Hunter said to him something along the lines, "Are you willing to go down for your guy? Are you willing to go to prison for him?" Maybe I'm gonna have to pull that clip up because, and then he read him his rights. He read wait a minute.
Right.
Beat him. He read his Miranda rights over the phone.
He does realize he's not an officer, so he
And
doesn't really need to read.
And Tony's like, here's this guy I've been watching on TV for all these years, reading me my Miranda rights.
I wish he recorded that and released that, to be honest with you.
I would love to
watch
hear that.
You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Let me see if I can't pull up. I don't want to play his whole live because I just don't trust him.
Yeah,
that's why I've
it's
decided to
pretty
go over notes because I don't want Seth I just don't want to deal with him.
Mm-hmm.
Josh from the lab already fucking copyright struck me. I don't need Seth doing it next.
Oh yeah, I thought it was weird that they even had that fucking Josh on.
Wasn't that strange?
I was like, why is he not asking questions? Like, why is Tony pushing all the questions? Like, what is this? Like, this makes no sense to me.
No, and Tony kept actually leading him, like taking him back to a certain point. What clip was I looking for again?
The truth serum.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Keep talking.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
Yeah, I don't know. Tony cleared up the truth serum rumor. Tony alluded it being a test to listen to it and decide for yourself. Yeah, well, you have the issue where At Night put in their statement about truth serum, and now they're trying to say Dog is the one that did the truth, like brought it up. I mean, the problem is that they put in their filings, I believe, that the whole truth serum wasn't true and it wasn't, said by, these people. And now they have not only posts on Twitter that states it, but also an actual video, which I downloaded just in case they take it down. You try to enter, my friend, into litigation, I'm going to download your lives when I know that you're spreading a lot of falsehoods, and make sure that it's held just in case.
Dog did bring up the truth serum to Tony. So this is, and you're gonna have to listen to it on YouTube because I'm not actually on StreamYards, if that makes sense. So you won't hear it through here, I don't think. But this is where Tony talks about him getting in contact with Nick, and then the dog thing leads in from there.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Just is. He's your responsibility. You know that. I'm not scolding you. I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. And I believe that you were looking for your son.
Is it playing on y'all's end?
Yes, I hear
Okay.
And and like you said, it's not over until he's home, until he's found.
So, Josh, you may not even know this, and I know a lot of the folks in the audience, and again, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys' support. There's a lot of people in here tonight.
Yeah.
So I told Seth, I said, you trust me, right? And he said, yes, I do. And I said, just, let me call this Nick character and find out what he's about.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So, Josh, I call Nick, left him a message. Then I get a call back. And of course, what we know now, I got a call back because I was being recorded, right? Which I've never had a problem with. I've never recorded a call, but I've been recorded. And
Sure.
So
Oh, that's good.
I call,
Thank you for admitting that.
I
You
answer
can
the
stop
phone.
that
I
for a
get on the
moment.
phone with those guys. And first thing that happens is dog jumps in. He's on the phone. And he jumps in and he takes over the conversation. And he basically tells me that the word on the street is that my guy is potentially the lead suspect, and that that I could be considered an accomplice, and that am I willing to go to prison for my guy? And I said, absolutely. If you can
Wait,
prove
what?
that my guy's that, and you think I'm an accomplice because I'm a volunteer spokesperson, then I'm not really sure how that would work. But
What do you think so far of Dog saying this?
It's like, that would not be my response. I would be like, wait a minute, my guy didn't do it. So
Right.
why would I go to prison? And he's like, no, I will absolutely go to prison in helping to, commit a crime for my client. I'll do anything for my client. If we're going to rob a bank, I'm going to get the masks in the bag.
Right.
We're going to go in there together. By the way, I love how he ruined his case a little bit, because he said, I don't mind being recorded.
Yeah.
That was one of his things
In his lawsuit.
fucking, yeah. So congratulations on fucking yourself on that one.
The wiretapping
Tony.
law.
Yeah. He says, I give consent. I knew I was being recorded. I don't mind being recorded.
Oh, I don't record anybody.
I don't record anybody. I don't mind.
Are you willing to go to prison for your guy? He says yes. What a freaking moron.
I'd be like, no, I don't.
Look
want
at
to go to
Josh.
prison.
Look at Josh's face. He's like, really? You'd go to prison for this fucker?
I know Josh wouldn't go to prison.
Josh is like, fucking not me. You speak for yourself, dude.
He's like, how fast can I end this call? Because I don't want to be an accessory. Like, is it too late for now if I end this call? This whole conspiracy.
Oh my god! I think my Streamlabs is fucking up, Tony. I gotta go.
Yeah, Tony.
Jesus.
Tony. I think my mom fell down the stairs. I need to leave. I need to leave.
Josh's face says it all right there.
Josh is like, what? Because Josh has listened to a lot of missing person cases. I'm sure he's never heard something like that before.
Yeah, no one. Oh man. Oh god, that's funny.
Like, the reactions of these people just make no sense. Like, are you willing to go to prison for your guy?
I'd be like,
And
what are
he's
you
like,
talking about? No.
No, are you okay?
Yeah, why are
and then you're sitting here, it's like, okay, so, and then you decide to work with these people that just said that and then started reading you the Miranda rights on the phone?
I have a feeling that Tony doesn't like Dog too much. I think this is a power struggle here. Listen to what else he says. Let's keep playing. If you're already making me laugh, I can't wait for you to hear the rest.
Sure, I'll play along with your silly game. And so he went as far as to read me my Miranda rights.
Who was that? Who did this?
Dog.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So, now I've got a guy that I grew up watching, right? And he's reading me my rights. Like, I'm getting ready to go to jail for harboring a fugitive, right?
Yeah.
And, so So again, I played along, and then he goes into talking to me about the, the famous, the truth serum, the hypnosis, all these things.
Hypnosis.
And would I talk to my guy and find out if my guy would be willing to do this or that or whatever? And I didn't realize, but that was all just a game to find out, are we hiding anything? How convicted are we? How
convicted are we?
How convicted are we? How guilty we are? Oh my God.
Need some help.
How convicted we are? How screwed we are? Am I willing to go to jail for my client? Like, bro.
Wow.
So
would my guy be willing to do that?
yeah. And then like if someone like realistically, if I was like talking to someone and they said, hey, we're gonna put you in hypnosis and truth serum, my reaction would be hell no, and don't lose my number. That's my reaction. I would not be like, sure, I'm gonna work with you. And not only that, I'm gonna let you talk to my client that you just read me your Miranda rights. I don't know.
How convicted we are.
How convicted we are. How screwed we are.
He's talking about harboring a fugitive.
Yeah, now he's like harboring a fugitive. Like, wait, what?
Interesting. Interesting to know that Dog told Tony that Seth was a main suspect, and he thought it was just a silly game to see if they would cave under pressure.
Yeah. Weird.
Very weird. So weird. All right, there's more.
Would I talk to my guy and find out if my guy would be willing to do this or that or whatever? And I didn't realize, but that was all just a game to find out, are we hiding anything? How convicted are we? How much do we know for sure that Seth is innocent? And what are we willing to do to help us find Sebastian? And I told Dog, I said, Dog, Seth Rogers would cut his arms off to find his son. I said, if you think that putting truth serum is going to scare him away, if you think that hypnosis is going to scare him away, I said, as long as I was there while it was going on, he'll do anything in the world to find his son. Well,
as long as I was there. But if you're not there, he won't do anything in the world, Tony.
And a half later, as we got into the real facts of the case, it became obvious that, that they knew that Seth was not involved. But I think they needed to know wholeheartedly that we were committed to doing whatever it took to support them. And fast forward now, we've had a lot of conversations, you and I, Josh, have had about the good they've brought. And I don't know if you saw, but that reward has been bumped up to $200,000 as of today.
I heard something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And which I think is fantastic, but it kind of begs the question, we went from 50 to 100,000 and 125 and 150, 175, 200. It's like we're at a reward auction.
He's back.
Does it not feel like that if there's anybody out there that wasn't on the inside that something would be happening?
I mean, that's kind of.
Yeah, I don't know why he kept hopping down and coming back.
Yeah, and he just like vigorously rubs his nose. I don't know if he's got a cold or something, or he's sick or something. I don't know. Maybe he's got a flu. But weird. Yeah. First off, I don't even think Josh believes the fucking reward money. Honestly,
I feel like he's not believing any of this, to be honest with you. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, I feel like he's just sitting here and he's just going by, like, okay, I'm gonna have to see this $150,000. I don't believe it exists. He's kind of like in my position. I call it monopoly money. I mean, I can pledge $1 million, doesn't mean I have $1 million. You can pledge $10 million, doesn't mean you have $10 million. Pledges mean nothing. Real cash being put in an account. I mean, you do have an attorney now, so why don't you ask Mr. Joseph Lasnik, hey, would you like to put the money in a trust or something, or like some sort of
right? And that's account. A lot of money.
Yeah, $150,000, and they're talking about pledges. I'm like, where is this money coming from? Because I know these two people are. I know Dog is broke as a joke. He's selling like fucking leather jackets for $350, and cut up shirts for $50, and selling coffee, and doing a dog cast. I mean, like, doesn't seem like someone that's worth have a lot of resources to throw $150,000. You know what I mean? Especially at his age, he's 71 years old. His earning potential is a lot less. Then you got Nick, which I don't know where he's got his money. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how he even survives and eats a sandwich a day. I don't know. And I don't see people. And then you got Mr. Tony Mathis, who has a history of bankruptcies, according to JLR. So I don't know where this money's coming from.
Yeah, Tony. Based on Tony's past, it doesn't look like he's good at managing money.
Yeah. So you're talking about $150,000. Where is this $150,000 comes from? So that's why I have doubts on it. I call it monopoly money. Unless they do like a full-on video where they show me the $150,000 on a table, cash, I'm not going to believe it. I'm just not. That's just my opinion. I don't believe it. Oh, you got a super chat, by the way.
Oh, Muddy Paws, thank you. Okay, so Muddy Paws says, WTF, Sean still has the laptops. As a parent, would you not drive that shit down to the police department and say, please take these? The laptops could have key evidence on them. She has a good point, because he kept saying, Sebastian's laptop is still on my kitchen counter.
Yeah, I mean, would you, while your kid's missing, be more concerned about, watching TV than your missing kid?
No, it's weird. That whole thing was weird.
Also, you have a computer. Like, he has multiple computers. We all watch TV shows on our computer. So it's not like he's like in his room doing nothing. He has multiple avenues of entertainment, which, by the way, I would not be watching YouTube videos for entertainment purposes while my kid is missing. And, that makes no sense.
Well, he also said that during that time when he told Chris, I can't even watch TV or whatever, he said, I can't even relax in my own home. And I'm thinking, this is 2 weeks in. Who's thinking about relaxing? Sorry about my dog. She's going nuts at something.
Well, I think your dogs know how to read bullshit.
Yeah.
And if they have a bullshit reader, they're just going off right now. That's why.
She's like, look at Josh's face. It says it all.
Josh's face says what everyone's thinking, but he's not saying out loud.
For real. Thank you so much, Shell, for your super sticker. And Sophia Petrillo donated 1 J is for Justice clickership. Trixie got it. Welcome back, Trix. Hey, Cannon. How's that cap doing? Granny says, who the fuck would be afraid of threats of illegal activities by felons delusional enough to read someone their Miranda rights without the fucking authority to do so? Granny, are you coming up or what?
And didn't he's basically like being threatened by this 71-year-old fucking F-list celebrity that he's going to be hit with truth serum and like hypnosis.
Yeah.
Who told Dog the Bounty Hunter about hypnosis and truth serum? What does he think he's like a spook for the CIA? They're going to take him in the back and with a hood over his head and take him to a secret location and start interrogating him. Hey, sir.
I love it. I love that piece from Tony, though.
Yeah. How convicted we are.
What a slip, man.
That needs to be literally like a short video, just whenever they mess up. You just put down, you just say how convicted we
are. He also said, when he said, okay, dog, I'll play along with your silly game.
Oh my God.
I can't.
Yeah. I mean, any normal person that would heard dogs say anything about hypnosis and truth serum, they would have hung up the phone. They would never have entertained this fool.
And reading his Miranda rights, I would have been like, who the fuck are you, man?
Yeah, I would have been like, sir, you're a felon and you are not an officer. So you don't really need to read Miranda rights because you're not an officer. So maybe don't do that because that's stupid.
I agree with you. I know.
Choo-choo.
I just thought it was so funny. He's like, then he starts reading me. Can you imagine? I would have loved to see Tony's face when Dog cut in, because he probably thought he was getting on the horn with Nick, and he's like, I got this punk, And then Dog pipes in. Hey, brother.
I swear to God, if I was on live stream and I was able to record him reading the Miranda rights, I would tell Queen to turn that. Whenever a new panel guest jumps on, I would just play that. When they're about to self-snitch, I'll just play Dog reading the Miranda rights.
Like, we need that.
We need Dogs reading the Miranda rights.
We do. We freaking need that so bad.
Whenever someone's about to self-snitch on doing a crime or something, we just play Dog's Miranda rights. That's it.
Oh my God. Sophia says, how would you rate this live versus Seth's previous one? Meaning the SeaWorld one on his own channel? Well,
I mean,
he did it alone. So that one, didn't he? Wasn't he by himself on that one? Showing pictures, like SeaWorld pictures of Sebastian.
Yeah, but he wasn't really, was he? I don't think he was going through the timeline of events.
No, he just showed us SeaWorld pictures.
So, yeah, I mean, I think
this one was more informative.
Yeah, more informative that he has to be fed the lines by Tony Mathis, who's basically completely,
oblivious.
In my opinion, yeah, like for instance, let's say like Seth is guilty. You are actually helping a possible guilty guy get off because you are shielding him from actual, him screwing up.
Right.
Now I don't think he's guilty because I go by the facts and evidence. I think to myself, okay, is there supporting evidence that he's guilty? No, because I judge things by itself. Just like I say, Katie, there's nothing really pointing to her guilt. I'm going to say that with Seth. But the problem with Seth is that he goes on these interviews and keeps on changing his stories. And then people say, what the hell, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And that's usually the first, that's the thing they criticize Chris and Katie for changing their stories and stuff like that here and there. But this guy changes his timeline of events like I changed my socks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Some of what he said last night was consistent with other interviews, but there were some pretty big things that were brought up that he's never said before. So I don't know if he's adding it in or what. Like you said, to clean up the mess.
Yeah, it seems like he is trying to point people he's trying to basically get public opinion on his side. He's trying to get people to go at his ex-wife. He's trying to get better public opinion about himself.
Yes.
And he's trying to do a trial of public opinion, basically. He's trying to plead his case.
Well, some people said last night, B. Tim, after they watched this, that they felt that they were ramping up for a lawsuit against Sumner County, like a civil suit, was the feeling they got from it.
You could sue anyone. That's just a fact. But will you win? Probably not, because everything they've done has basically been, they've done a lot to search for Sebastian Rogers.
Yes.
Does Betty have a lawsuit? I don't think so. She's doesn't have anything. When you have the ADA come up and say you've been properly served and they treated you with kid gloves while you were being arrested and all that stuff, she has no case as well. So I don't know.
Did anyone see Nick's comments in chat while Tony was telling that story?
Yeah, he threatened Dolly. He threatened Dolly
in this chat.
Yeah.
Did he really? What did he say?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was about something about Dolly has 20 minutes to apologize or something.
What?
Or he's going to be also named in the Pennsylvania, and also about the GoFundMe money that he better do something about the GoFundMe money that he raised $2,000.
You're kidding.
I think that I'm not kidding. He's threatening Dolly to possibly add him to the injunction. That's what he was saying.
This is wild.
So, yeah, that's what I know. That's pretty much what I know. And I don't know why he's doing that, to be honest with you, because I don't think it's a smart move, to be honest with you, because I'm pretty sure Like, I don't like Dolly, but I'm pretty sure if he was named in the injunction, he would be able to raise a bunch of money to get an attorney easily and countersue your asses with ease, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a smart move to start naming every single large YouTuber in your injunction so that you can get countersued. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure everything has worked out fantastically for Nick and all that group of people in life. They are definitely winners. That was sarcasm, by the way, just in case anyone doesn't know. They're not winners, they're losers. But anyway, then he basically said, just kidding, Dolly isn't named, but stops raising money. It's weird. It's like, then don't make the threats, right, Granny? Like, if you're going to threaten someone about that, then you better fucking stop playing games. Number one, you couldn't name Dolly because he doesn't live in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania doesn't supersede his own state laws, and it's a state. Number two, like, what are you going to sue him for? And number three, I think that would be a very bad move because he knows all the dirty details about Betty's fucking background. And if he starts shooting all the dirty details about her, she's not going to like it. So maybe Betty should tell them to stop messing around.
Hey, B. Tim, do you mind if I go grab a cup of coffee?
Sure, go for it.
Thank you.
I'll read the chat. He's mad at Dolly because he and PJ went to the steak place and intervened THD. What's intervene THD? I don't know what that means. I bet Dolly is shaking in fear. Bro, he would be so happy if these idiots named him in an injunction and actually did that. Do you realize how much money he'd be able to get, like, to raise? And he knows, like, and the amount of views, because he knows he would win. He would fucking be able to get an attorney to immediately get that shit dismissed, and then he'd probably fucking countersue them and get his costs back, and then laugh his ass to the bank while he gets more views. And guess what? That's pretty much what would happen. Sorry, and this is not me. I don't like Dolly, but I just know that would probably be what happened. So it's pretty stupid.
I'm back. Thank you.
Welcome back.
All right, so I've got a clip for you. This is what Seth had to say to Craddock. Yes, he is playing with the braid, twisting the braid, twisting the corn roll.
At least his hand's not in his mouth. His fist is
You were gonna say something else.
Oh, remember? Do you see that picture of him with his fist in his mouth?
No, no.
Like his whole fist was in his mouth. And like the lab, we were watching it last night. The lab was like giving him like these weird looks, like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Like he's literally tried to shove his entire fist in his mouth.
The hell?
I don't know what the hell's going on here.
Okay, so here is Tony. Okay, we're gonna hear about the birthday event, and then we'll hear about Craddock.
For information about an event that will be a public event over in Hendersonville on December 7th to honor Sebastian on his birthday. We will also have a smaller private event over in Clarksville that will be just a few of us at, but we really want the public to get around that event in Hendersonville. Don't know where it is yet, but we will have details. I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to let you and Seth close it out. Sumner County, Eric Craddock, congratulations on your election win. I know that you listen and watch and pay attention to everything that we do. So I'm going to speak to you very directly, Mr. Craddock. I would beg you to answer the same question I've been asking you for 8 months, and I would love for you to come out and answer it publicly. Are you any closer today to finding Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers than you were on February 26th? That's my only question for you.
To add to that, I'd like to see some proof that you are, because your word means diddly squat to me. I'd be a better sheriff in my sleep than I think you could be. And I know that you've been running that sheriff's office since January, which means you were running that office almost 2 months before my son went missing. So you can't put it off on the sheriff that's deceased, sir. And calling you sir isn't a due of respect. It's just the fact that you are surely a waste of my space and time until you can prove me otherwise. You don't deserve that badge that is on your chest. That badge is supposed, we are supposed to represent the badge. The badge does not represent us. We are supposed to uphold that badge, uphold the Constitution, and uphold the people that have put you in that position and make them proud, not yourself proud. You ain't making me proud of that badge.
Elected officials are, you got to remember.
Okay, he tries to clean it up for him, but there's no cleaning that up.
Yeah, there's like zero cleaning that up. I mean,
wow.
He basically attacked this guy who's been helping to try to find his kid, and just an outrageous statement.
Horrible.
Really outrageous statement. Yeah.
And he's putting himself on the same level as the sheriff.
Yeah, he's like, bro, you had issues. I wouldn't trust you to make me a sandwich, and let alone be the sheriff of a town.
Yeah.
Just saying. My opinion on that.
I mean, I give him like frustration, 9 months in or whatever. I definitely give any parent frustration, because they're going to go through different stages. But this, it's just progressively the message towards law enforcement, like you said, that there's messages here. Law enforcement is bad. Ellie's bad. Dog's good. Nick's good.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's very weird. Because like at the end of the day, the people, if you believe that there is a crime committed, the people who are going to gather the evidence for that is the police. Not Nick or any of those people, because that shit will be immediately thrown out. Any good defense attorney will be able to rip apart anything Nick actually gets. They'll just pull up his old record, say, "Oh, do you have a history of falsifying emails and doing this and this and this?" Yes. Well, how do we trust anything that comes out of your independent investigation? And that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? That's the problem when you have people like this. Like any good defense attorney would be able to tear to pieces these people in this on the stand. You think Tony would be able to say? Let's just say like they had like, for instance, Karen Reed's attorney. What was that gentleman? Andrew Jackson? No, Andrew Jackson. The other one, the one that was the high price one from California. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I didn't watch that case.
I think it was Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Jackson. Like he would be like an attorney like that would be able to tear these people into pieces, into absolute pieces. Like a high price attorney it wouldn't even be like something I would even want to watch, because it would be such a terrible situation.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah, you have a compromised integrity of a group of people that are claiming to be investigators, who is their founder has no integrity in the eyes of the public when it comes to what he was convicted of. That's bad. So any evidence you go.
No, go ahead. Any evidence what?
Well, I'm just saying, any evidence they get is going to be thrown out, and it's going to be fruit of the poisonous tree, and it's not going to be useful.
Mm-hmm.
So your only hope for, let's say you believe your son, something has happened to your son, the only hope for a conviction is the police.
Right, and you're shutting out the lead investigating agency.
Yeah.
It's very, very weird. He also said, regarding talking to Simmons, that he would call Simmons and Simmons wouldn't pick up. And Simmons told him to text him so that he had a trail. And he didn't like that. Because he wouldn't pick up the phone. He wanted him to text him instead. Mm-hmm. And then the other two things that I wrote down were about the search parties being followed and threatened. He mentioned that again. And then at a press conference, he was ticked because they shut everyone out. The only media they let in was Nick Barris. So again, Nick has rubbed Seth wrong because he's got an in with Ellie. And I think that really, really bothers him.
Yeah, I mean, what's weird about the Nick Barrett stuff is originally he didn't like him because of the light situation. He believed that Nick Barris was doing, clickbait and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's kind of reversed his opinion on the lights to what Nick Barris thought it was in the beginning. So what's your anger? Why are you angry at Nick Barris? Is it because Nick Barris doesn't like Bullhorn Betty and now you're kind of like don't like Nick Barris because of that? It's just weird.
Well, he made that one comment on Pascal's too when he was standing out at that gas station and he said, now he knows, yeah, he let it out for clickbait. Now he knows why I won't return his calls.
Yeah. I have a feeling there's more to it. I feel like if you do not kiss the ring of Seth Rogers, you become his enemy. And I feel like that might be the actual reason.
For sure.
That there might be something like he said something to Seth that he felt like he was being disrespected, and he immediately kind of goes on the attack on that person. I don't think there's an actual legitimate reason beyond that. Because think about his interactions with a lot of people. What was that young man that was originally kind of pushed this case forward?
Trevor
I'm trying to
Lee.
remember. Trevor Lee. He didn't kiss the ring. Trevor Lee didn't kiss the ring to Seth, said, hey, you're inviting all these clowns around here. You should probably stop because you're surrounding yourself with these people and you're ruining the situation. And what do? He went online and he just bashed and attacked Trevor Lee. Anyone that doesn't kiss the ring of Seth Rogers, he just attacks.
Yep,
and I think that's what happened with Nick Barris.
Yeah, he definitely does not like Nick Barris. But it was funny because the flashlight video was brought up last night and he had a flashlight sitting right next to him. And he actually grabbed it and he made fun of, the flashlight video.
Yeah, but didn't his new best friend Betty say that they're actual flashlights? So it's these guys need to actually have a meeting and
get their stories straight.
Yeah, it seems like they all are all over the place with this.
They are.
It's a Venezuelan international gang. It's the flashlights. It's Chris and Katie. It's I don't know. Next they're gonna say it's a creepy pasta. It's gonna be freaking the Slender Man came and took Sebastian Rogers, and that's why they see a tall guy in the suit in the backwoods of Tennessee. I mean, it's just they don't have their story straight, and it's do these guys even meet and talk at all? Does Betty, Nick, Dog, Seth, and Tony actually get together in a phone call and say, hey, let's iron out what we think happened so we don't sound like we're complete crazy people online?
Young Black Economist, thank you. Thank you, One Eyed Flo, for 5 memberships. Welcome. Welcome, new members. Make sure you thank One Eyed Flo for those memberships. Yeah, I agree with you. I was just scrolling through here. Listen to this clip.
You told them, did you tell them specifically? Did you say to them, I have nothing to hide?
It's about electronics.
And what was their response to that?
Okay.
And that was it.
That was it.
And so they were just asking your permission. Can we search your house? Can we take this without warrants and stuff? And obviously you agreed to everything,
Yes.
and received most of that stuff back. I believe, but,
in time.
Here's the thing that it's they left Sebastian's PS4 in his room. They never once took it. Oh, let me rephrase that. They took the electronics out of my house. They didn't take Sebastian's laptop. That's still on my kitchen table.
Never?
Never. They never took his laptop. Still on my kitchen table. Right where he left it. Because I want things to still be where he left them.
Deep breath, buddy.
They came into his room. They took his PlayStation. They took his Switch. They took the tablet that he never even used. He used the laptop more than he used that tablet. And yet they left the laptop on the kitchen table. They took my PlayStation. They wanted nothing to do with my laptop. I mean, it's just like the things that they took, and like literally 2 weeks went by, and I'm like, am I going to get this stuff back? You said that you guys would only have it for a couple days.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know about other people, but I use my PlayStation if I'm watching TV. All my streaming services run through my PlayStation. I have a smart TV, but it's an old smart TV. Like, Netflix doesn't even work on it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I got that notification probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, that's pretty standard to use your console for that stuff.
Right.
So it's like, you took all this stuff, but you didn't take anything out of his room at his mom's house. His Switch was still on the floor when I was there. The PlayStation was still there. The next day, that's when they took our phones. And then they complained about the fact that Chris gave them a phone, Katie gave them a phone, I gave them my only working phone. The other phone that I had no service, just Wi-Fi connection. And I use it so that I can listen to music while I sleep. Because that's just what I do for background. And then they turn around, and they had my phone for almost 12 hours to download it. I use my phone for everything, It's not like they had my phone long enough that my mom and dad didn't know what happened. That my friends and stuff were calling Clarksville PD to do well care checks on me because they didn't know what happened. And it's like, they asked for my phone. I wasn't even able to use it to send any messages to people to let them know, hey, law enforcement has my phone. Don't be worried if I don't answer it.
But you were willing to let them do whatever they wanted to do and take however long they wanted to take, because in that moment you knew you had nothing to do with it. But in that moment you were thinking about, hey, I want to get myself cleared so we can move forward. Correct?
Correct. I don't want them wasting time looking at me when they need to find my son.
Okay. That was a lot, huh?
Yeah. I like how Mr. Tony Mathis tried to clean up that this guy literally complained for about 2 minutes about him not able to watch TV. And he basically, after a week or so, demanded his electronics back because he wanted to watch TV. If Katie said that, she would be fucking crucified on this platform. That is weird. That's very weird.
Mm-hmm.
The laptop situation. He says the laptop. Did he let them know that was Sebastian's
Laptop?
Yeah. Did he let them know?
Right. And he's like, it's still sitting on my counter. Why wouldn't you take it to them and say, hey, you guys didn't take this. There might be evidence on here.
Yeah, that would have been something you would have been volunteering. But instead you're like, what, complaining about, oh, my phone's being held for 12 hours. Do you think I would, if I was in that situation, like my sister was missing, do you think I would give a flying F how long my phone was being held by the cops?
Nope.
I would just say, give me let me look at my phone to get the contacts. I'll write it down on a piece of paper. I'll buy another phone and I'll just, you guys keep that phone. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's usually what people do when their phones are taken in an investigation. They just go to Walmart and buy a burner.
Yeah. It's like, why? And then unfortunately you're sitting here and he's complaining about how he's been treated. It sounds like he's got this animosity that it was like, he's offended that he's even been looked at. Like, why are you offended that you're even being looked at? It's normal procedure that the parents do get looked at in
I
both
think he was
cases.
comparing himself a lot to how Chris and Katie were how he perceived to be them looked at, because he said, why are you only interested in my electronics? You know, why didn't you take
Well,
theirs?
I mean, no offense, but this guy left his kid alone for 12 hours sometimes by himself in the house playing video games all day while he's listening to creepy pastas and playing very, very adult like games, whereas like Diablo and stuff like that, and these online games. So yes, they're going to look at you more. Also, I'd like to point out that he's sleeping with music on in creepy pastas. How would he be able to hear if he was in the same position? How would he be able to hear Sebastian leaving the house if he's got music and stuff playing in his ear?
True.
But no one's going to point that out. You know what I mean? No one's
And
gonna,
you know what
I
else he
mean?
said that didn't match up to me is he said they didn't take Sebastian's PlayStation, and then he said they did.
Yeah, he contradicted
It's
himself.
so weird.
Yeah, he contradicted himself. And that's the problem. He just keeps on contradicting himself because memory is like, I'm going to say this, memory is like a VHR, I think it's VHS. I'm sure you know what that is. I'm sure a
I
lot
do.
of people know what that is. So basically, the more you re-record it, the more you watch it over and over again, the more deteriorated the video gets.
Yeah.
It starts getting fuzzy and stuff like that. And that's how memory works. And how the brain works is they grab little details and try to fill it in, like, added stuff. And it sounds like that's what's happening to him, where he repeats the story and he's adding things because Tony Mathis, because Nick, because Dog is telling him things, and he adds that to his story, and it makes his story even more different and more different and more different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So it's not good, because now I think, like, honestly, if you're going to take the timeline of events with this guy, I don't know it's good at all, actually.
Let me read a couple of these super chats. Music City says he didn't mention that Sebastian would try to call that phone because he knows the number. Right? I mean, that's a good point. Music City was like, my parents couldn't call me.
Yeah, that's a surprising point. I didn't even think about that, because you would think, like, someone pointed out last night, they says, why, while he was driving to the house, why wasn't he trying to call Sebastian on his phone?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, didn't you say, like, Sebastian wanted to live with you, and thus, maybe you could have thought, like, maybe he ran away and he's just tired of this house, and maybe he's on the road somewhere and I can call him on my phone to see where he's at. You know what I mean?
Dude, he didn't call anybody. And they reiterated that last night, too.
He didn't call anybody?
He didn't call fucking anybody. So the first time he said it took him 35 minutes. And Vinnie Politan asked him, oh, so what were you doing on that drive? Were you pedal to the metal? And he was like, no, I was trying not to get a speeding ticket. And then he's like, did you call anyone? Were you checking in with Katie? Yeah. And he's like, no, I was just trying to get there without getting pulled over. So he didn't call anyone. So he said he drove 35 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? Who doesn't call to say, did he return? Did you find him? Or to get more details while you're driving? Something, right? Nothing.
Yeah.
Doesn't call anybody.
Yeah.
Then last night he says it took him an hour to get there. So that's even more time to not call and check if he returned or was found.
Yeah, I mean, like the Nancy Grace one, it's like 35 minutes. Another interview, he said 45 minutes. Now he says an hour. And it's like you're sitting, and like the hour one is actually very weird to say, like, I didn't want to get a speeding ticket. I'm like, your son is missing.
Oh, well, that's another thing beats him, is he said last night he was pedal to the metal, but then it took him an hour.
Yeah. Which is not
It was
true.
opposite of what he told Vinny.
Yeah. Which is not true, because I think, like, if you're pedal to the metal, you'd be there before an hour.
Right.
Like a 45-minute normal drive there.
Well, actually, I went on Google Maps, and you know how you can put a date in the past and it can tell you based on the traffic? I put him driving there that morning. I think it was like 7:30 to 8:30 or whatever. And it said 23 minutes. And I was like, wow, because he's going opposite of the city traffic. People are driving into the city. He would have been driving out.
Yeah, so why did it take him like now an hour for
Right.
maybe like let's just give him 25, 27 minutes to get there. It's just weird.
See,
And now
UA.
he's saying,
UA said it takes her 25 minutes to get to KP and CP's, and she's further from the jail.
yeah, it's weird, man. It's like and inconsistencies like that. This is why, like, you go online and you see these inconsistencies, and now, like, because of this interview, more people are going to ask more questions now. And I think this was actually a bad idea because people are going to be like, wait a minute, now it's taking you an extra 40 minutes to get to this location. Wait a minute, you didn't call anyone. Wait a minute, why are you complaining about your devices because you can't watch TV? Wait a minute, the dog the bounty hunter read you your Miranda rights and says you're willing to go down for your client. Like, you sit here and you're like, wow, this is not making your client clear your client. This is making your client look more suspicious than he did previously.
I wonder if Seth had his Miranda rights read. Wouldn't that be something?
I don't know. I mean, usually I don't know, but it's interesting that they played the what if game with him because cops usually don't do the what if game like that unless they're someone's pointing them into that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't just randomly
Maybe
say,
hitting a brick wall with the other questioning,
yeah.
Like, we're going to
Oh,
play
the
a little
creepy-
game. We're going to play what if.
Yeah, it's like, what if you went into that store and robbed those people,
Mhm.
with this mask? It's like,
I mean, if
it's kind of specific.
can you imagine a detective saying that to you and your kid's missing though? What if you
Yeah,
what if you paid someone to kidnap your son?
yeah,
I'd be like, huh? I definitely wouldn't bring up the winning the lottery. I'd be like, are you out of your fucking mind?
yeah. I'd be like, who
Who
told
thinks
you
like that? I mean, yeah, no, I don't know. That's just a weird reaction, but every reaction he has is weird. So like his baseline is off. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like that's just an odd thing. I think like honestly, if I was Tony Mathis, I would probably go to Seth, I would go to Betty, I would go to whoever's on this team and iron out and talk with each other because they need to straighten out their what they're talking about. Because when you go online and you state like a separate opinion on all like all this stuff, it's gonna make them look really bad. Like it's really does. Now, do I think Seth hired someone? No, I don't think so. But you don't make yourself look good on the eyes of the internet when you say stuff like that. It is kind of odd that he does a GoFundMe 3 days later. It is kind of odd that he's, trying to get money. It's those statements. But if you add them all together, it's just not good. And I think this is the problem with Tony Mathis. He's not a professional. He has no clue what he's doing, and he's making it worse.
Yeah, I mean, he never stops him.
No.
And it's weird. It's like he sets him up for it, to be honest.
No, yeah, it really is. It's like, and why even tell people the story about the Miranda rights with Dog the Bounty Hunter? It's like you're telling the timeline of events. Why even say that on a live stream? Why don't you just say, yeah, we're working with Dog the Bounty Hunter. I called him up and we, he was suspicious of my client, but we cleared it up.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. He took an opportunity, though, to say it was his silly game that he just went along with. Mr. Tough Guy. Mr. I'm smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
Mr. I'm going to be implicated if my client's guilty.
Convicted, actually.
How convicted we are.
How convicted we are.
Will we ever find out how convicted they are, Tim?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's a bad interview, man. It's a bad interview. It really doesn't help clear up a timeline. Like, I would say, like, the best thing would have been done would have been just to do an iron out a timeline and stop with the, attacks on Chris and Katie and just focus on the facts of what you know. And that's pretty much it. That's what I would say. Because you're not a detective, you're not doing anything that different. Just stick to the facts, and that's it. And he gets himself into trouble when he does this.
Every time.
Yeah, it really is.
But they say that Katie has all these inconsistencies, and I just You know, they shut up a long time ago. I don't
No,
know what her inconsistency is. People bring up the thud, but that wasn't, I feel like that was just something she, remembered.
well, if you, I was reading this book. It was, I think it was called "Extracting the Truth" by Detective Playbook by John Ruppa,
Hmm.
and he says that basically in one chapter of it, it's a very simple book. It's like 200 pages, very simple chapter. But and I dropped that book. One of the sections is called like senses or something like that, and added like when you let a person talk and you say, what did you smell, what did you hear, what did you something, like when you say what happened, they're just going to tell you one thing. But once you get into further details of the five senses and what you hear, smell, and all that stuff, new details can come out. And that could have been just a new detail she added in because she was asked the correct the correct question to
Right.
ask.
Right.
So is that an inconsistency, or is that just basically the right question was asked to further her explanation of what she was doing?
I mean, I could see an inconsistency if she said, no, I never heard anything. And then turned around and said, oh, yeah, but then I heard that thud. Then we'd be like, what? Kind of like how Seth just did. They took his PlayStation. They didn't take his PlayStation. Which is it?
Yeah.
Because you've been upset all these months because they had it.
Yeah, and that's a bigger inconsistency, in my opinion, than the thud, because at least you can actually explain and be like, well, did you ask her to hear, like one of the questions could have been like, they didn't ask her what she heard or anything like that, and she didn't think about that, but that's a bigger inconsistency. It's like, did they take the PlayStation or didn't they take the PlayStation? And then his reaction is not good. I would have Tony should have just took him to the back and said, listen, stop with you're a victim mentality. Focus on the information in this case. What you know, what you don't know. If you're unsure about something, say I'm not sure. If you're having issues, just like take a break, take a breather.
Yeah,
chill.
that's what a PR guy would do.
Yeah.
He's never done that. He's never talked Seth down.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Focus on things you know. If you don't know something, say you don't know. If you're unsure about something, say you're unsure. Don't add stuff. Don't put things here, and don't try to paint a narrative against your ex-wife. Focus on your timeline of events. Bring it back to that and say, if you have a hard time remembering, say, it's just, I forgot. And that's pretty much it. And he would have been fine. That's what I would say that I would probably tell him, to be honest with you. And I think, like, honestly, another thing I would say the interview should have done in the beginning is kind of calm down Seth and maybe have like kind of like a banter conversation in the beginning to kind of calm him down a little bit beforehand. Because when you get into like interviews like this, you kind of have to get them like into a nice little rapport type of relax before you get into the nitty gritty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a good idea to always just start off the bat and be like, okay, what's the timeline of events? Come on, let's go. And it's like, you know what I mean? So that could also make someone very nervous.
Yeah, it doesn't flow very good.
Yeah,
You want to hear some more?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here's more about the electronics.
So they didn't touch Chris or Katie's electronics for over 2 weeks. Over 2 weeks. They didn't touch any of their electronics except for their phones. They didn't take Sebastian's PlayStation. They didn't take his Switch. None of that stuff.
How do you know that?
Because I called up Chris and I said, Chris, they still have all of my stuff. I can't even watch the news. I can't do anything. I can't relax in my house. I can't sit down and watch a movie. And he was like, well, you can come pick up Sebastian's PlayStation. What do you still have this stuff? Yeah, we have all of our stuff. You can come pick up his stuff.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I go to Chris's house that morning. And this is 2 weeks later. And he's like, I can't give it to you. My account has been hacked and somebody has bought in games like Minecraft and stuff like that on his account. This is how I found out that they had never collected any of the electronics at that house. That includes That means that it was more than 2 weeks before Katie even turned in the dash cam off of her vehicle. That tells me that they were suspecting me of having my son before they were even investigating the Proudfoots. They didn't do shit.
They ask you for.
They didn't do shit.
Yeah.
They suspected me.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is probably would have been like the time I would have been like, oh, well, you know what, Mr. Josh, I need to talk to my client for a moment. Mr. Josh, I need to talk to him. And I would probably gone off air and called him on the phone and says, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh,
Stop
Green-Eyed. Wait, Green-Eyed has a really good point. How did he call Chris with no phone?
That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. Actually, that is a good point. I thought he didn't have a phone to contact anyone. He probably just bought a burner like everyone else. And also, why doesn't he just buy a Ruka or a Fire Stick or something? Like,
right.
Like it's $50. Bro.
I
It's not
think,
like
you know
nothing.
why I think? I think that he wanted a reason to go over to their house.
Really? Why?
I don't know. Either A, to find out what's going on with the investigation, because maybe he wasn't getting the communication like he wanted from them, or he just straight up wanted to see Katie. I don't know. I have a feeling he has like this. He's not obsession. I don't know. I don't. If I want to go as far to say obsession, but clearly he's not over her, and he's very resentful. I just feel like, you know, if he's got neighbors and friends and, you know, money, like he could go, like you said, he could go get a Fire Stick and watch TV. You don't need to go through Chris, say, oh, I can't even watch the news, and then set it up where I'm going to get Sebastian's thing and then go over there.
Yeah. Also, they said that he said it before he has a bunch of phones for some reason. So he might have had the burner. Someone says he might have had a burner phone and used that to call, which if you connect to the Wi-Fi, you can use like WhatsApp or something to make phone calls when the person has WhatsApp or something, or like a Google phone or something like that. Maybe that's how he made the phone call.
Yeah, I guess someone just said that was 2 weeks in that he was complaining he couldn't watch TV. So he said they had the phone for 12 hours.
I can't believe someone actually he would allow his client actually state something like that on a live stream to complain about you not being able to watch TV. Your son's missing and you're complaining about watching TV.
I can't watch a movie. God, I couldn't even sit down to watch a fucking movie. That is so bizarre to me.
It's like, bro, you have a phone. You can watch it on you can watch it on your phone. First off, just a shocker there. Second, you raised $25,000 because your sister opened up a GoFundMe, so you could have went there and bought a Fire Stick.
Yeah, I mean the GoFundMe was day 3. This is 2 weeks.
Yeah, like to me, it just doesn't make sense. And I thought you were like too busy searching for your son, so you were watching movies. Like you needed in 2 weeks down the line, you needed to watch movies. Like this is what I mean. Like he destroys his own narrative. Like his narrative is that he's been always out there searching. He doesn't take a break. He's just out there constantly, and then he's now complaining that he wasn't able to watch movies at home.
Yeah.
And then he starts.
I could see wanting, to have the news or, something on in the background at home because I'm like that.
You know what I have? It's called a phone, and it can connect to YouTube. You can also download Netflix.
You're right. I'm just saying, like, I get like wanting to watch the news, but the movie thing threw me off.
Yeah, it's just really a weird statement because I don't think I've ever heard a parent of a missing kid state something like, even like guilty parents, like I've never seen like Leilani Simon say, yeah, I wanted
not
to watch
Don
movies.
Wells wasn't even like kicking back watching movies.
Yeah, like I've never heard that as an excuse, like something like that from a parent of a missing kid. Actually,
when did he meet Michaela? Was it in the first 2 weeks? I think it was.
I'm not sure.
It was early on, so I wonder, he was wanting to cozy up and watch a movie. I don't know. It's a very weird statement to me.
Yeah, that one's a weird one, man. That is a weird one. Like some people have spread rumors that he gave her $12,000 to save her house.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually verified that. It's just a rumor that, and I don't even know how that rumor got really spread. To be honest with you, who started it, I don't know. I think people just looked about how much money she owed on her house, and magically it was paid overnight. People were like, "What the fuck happened?" Um, and then there was like a situation where he's like at one point denying dating her, and then now we found out that they actually were dating. It's just a very weird situation. And
Yeah.
then she's got all these documents that he was,
Oh, all
it's
these
just very weird.
private CPS docs.
Yeah.
It's very concerning, to be honest, because when T-Rev went live, I don't know if you saw his big folder or
Yeah.
Michaela's big folder, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah. It's like, why are you giving your child's documents to randos on the internet? Because she is a rando on the internet. You met
He
this woman
said
only
she
a
went
couple
on
of
his
months.
phone and sent it to herself.
Yeah, but there's something on my phone. It actually locks you out if you don't have a password.
Speaking of passwords, this isn't a password thing, but it reminded me something about Sebastian's Switch.
Yeah.
So remember when Seth was on Pascal and he was kind of giving us the duper delight about the cameras being frozen and it being the wrong time and date on the cameras for the flashlight video? He kind of
Yeah.
had that same attitude last night, and he talked about Agent Simmons having Sebastian's Switch and how Agent Simmons sat there for 4 hours trying to get it to connect to Wi-Fi. And Seth was like, oh, I told you, you got to have an account to get that thing to work. And it was almost like I don't know how he knew it was 4 hours. I don't know if he was there. It says Agent Simmons spent 4 hours on the Switch trying to get online. And Seth kept telling him, you need an account. You need an account. And I'm thinking, okay, well, why didn't you sign into it then? Like, what was
why
going
not?
on there? Yeah.
Like, why are you not helping this officer log into the account?
Yes, it was
And waste 4
wild.
hours. And waste 4 hours.
Yes, it was
Like,
odd, man.
it's like that would have been my first thing. I've been like, oh, Mr. Like Officer, can you need me to hook you up to that Wi-Fi so you can go search? And I've been like, yeah, here you go. And then,
Right.
like,
Let me log you into Sebastian's account. I mean, he's the one that made Sebastian's Gmail, so he should have access to everything. Remember? He said he gets little updates in his email of what Sebastian's searching even.
Yeah.
So why on earth was this agent sitting there for 4 hours trying to get it to connect to Wi-Fi if all it needed was an account, Seth?
Yeah. Is it normal for a kid to have a Gmail account these days? I mean, like I grew up, we didn't,
I think it connects to everything as like a, because like if you log in with Google on things,
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, why would he have, like, why wouldn't it just be under his Gmail account? He's under 15 years old.
Oh, I don't know.
He's like 15 years old. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why would he create a
I
Gmail
think it's
account?
normal because, I mean, when my kids were little, which was eons ago, but they had Yahoo emails.
Okay. I didn't have an email until much, much later.
I think especially now with like schools and shit, I think a lot of them have emails.
Yeah. I mean, I think I didn't get a computer until I was like 17.
Really?
Yeah, and the computer was put into the living room because my parents would watch.
Yeah, the common area.
Yeah,
ours
they would
was
watch
too.
us. Yeah, they would watch us. It was like literally next to the living room, and they would watch what we would go on. And if I was playing a game, they would watch the game, be like, "Oh, okay, you're playing that." And that's pretty much it. And that was pretty much the situation with that one. So a little different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, yeah. I mean, everybody's saying yes. They all have emails now.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, especially too, they're given iPads now, so I don't know if these kids log in with their own Apple IDs. Like, do they make their own Apple IDs for these iPads at school, or is it done through the school? I don't know that either.
Maybe it's done through the school. I don't think it would be their personal information because then if that gets hacked in, that's not good. It's because the generation we were in, though, times have changed. Yeah. I remember when I was like younger, like the big thing was the Motorola, like the kind of like not the big phone, but like the one that had like the walkie-talkie feature on it.
Oh, Nextel, the beep beeps.
Nextel. Yeah, you had the you could
Oh
do the
my
walkie-talkie.
God, that was so annoying to hear everybody's conversations when you're in public.
Yeah, like it was the family plan, and it was like you literally, I think,
Hit me up on the beep beep.
Yeah, that's how it was.
But we loved it because remember back then we had to pay by the minute to make phone calls.
Yeah, it was so expensive.
Yes.
It was so expensive.
So if you got someone on the beep beep, you're like, hey, do you have Nextel? Hit me up on my beep beep. And then you don't have to pay for the freaking minutes.
Yeah. Now it's a lot easier. You got your iPhone now.
Now it's like unlimited everything and Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you would never it was shocking when you got internet on your phone. It was shocking.
Oh my goodness. You aren't kidding. I think it's cool though that we know that we've been through the time not having it and having it.
Yeah, the time where you used to have to use a payphone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you used to get like a quarter and put
dude, and you were so lucky if you could find one that you could drive up to and actually sit in your car while you made the call. That was a bonus.
I mean, I remember when I was on the bus, like literally you would go on the bus and a transfer would be a piece of paper they would give you. Here's a transfer to the next bus. And it would be like this piece of paper.
I love it.
Like, here you go. Here you go. Here's a piece of paper.
Silent,
no, I wasn't doing it.
Silent Observer has a good point. He said Ellie didn't take Sebastian's laptop. Why couldn't he watch Netflix or YouTube on that laptop? I can't answer that.
Very good question. I think probably, honestly, I think Jay has a point with he probably wanted to know about their technology, what they had. So they probably did he probably did say, hey, you guys, can I borrow your PlayStation? I can't watch TV. And then he called them up, and then he found out what was the status of their electronics, because he was probably wondering were their electronics taken as well.
You know what else I was thinking about that just popped in my head when you were talking? Remember how Julia talked about, or all the stuff that was brought up about planting evidence?
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Now, Julia wanted to get in their house to check their medicine cabinets, she told me, which I always thought was so strange. And then Seth came out and said to the polygrapher that, Katie OD'd Sebastian, he thought.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just lost my train of thought because my dog was barking. Damn it.
Well, you said about something about, Julie, the whole planting evidence thing and how Julie wanted to go to the house.
Yeah. So think about Seth taking a PlayStation. Maybe that was why the brakes were put on that. Like, no. Like what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the thing is like for you to get, like, let's say I lend you my PlayStation, that would be their account. You would have to basically do a login of your own account and just kind of, log that. I think probably don't you have to register that PlayStation to your account when you change it? I
don't know how the gaming systems work. I can't speak on that. I do know that my son told me something interesting though. Like if you have a PlayStation account and you're not on your console, you can log out. Like let's say Sebastian wanted to use Seth's console while he was at work. He could just log Seth out of his console, log himself in, play, log out, and no one would be none the wiser.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I was asking my son. I think we're going to do a show. I'm going to bring him on because a lot of parents were like, I want to know how this shit works too.
Yeah, I mean, like if I play games, it's usually on a computer. I get a Steam account. I just play there. I don't have these PlayStations and stuff like that. Don't do that.
Well, and now these PlayStations sound like they're like all in one, TV. You can watch TV. You can download apps. It's like a whole all in one thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like that. You can watch it. Because I remember I did years ago when my stepdad was alive, he got a PlayStation and I had to set up his Netflix and Hulu account on there, and he would play racing games, and then would watch Netflix or something like that on there. So, yeah, he wanted to.
He also made a mention that they took Sebastian's games And he was like, why do you got to take his games? Mad about them taking
Aren't
that?
aren't the games like downloaded on the console?
I don't know.
Yeah, like
Are they?
yeah, you can get them downloaded on. You can download them from a material like a physical copy, or you could just get them online.
Julie says, B Tim, you don't have a Switch so you can play Mario Kart? Shocking.
Yeah, I don't have toys like that. I barely play. I think like out of the entire year, I might play 2 hours of a game in a year. I mostly read and work, and and this obviously.
I love that you're a reader. My daughter loves reading, loves it.
Yeah, it's good. It's very interesting. It's I like books, actual physical books. I don't like these
Like
pad things.
the ebook, like the
Because you don't
Kindles.
actually have ownership of the actual material, technically.
Yeah.
They could just delete your account. Boom, you've just lost hundreds of dollars. And I like to have books to reference because your memory doesn't keep everything. It depends on what you're looking up. Like a good book I got recently, it's like a little handbook. Obviously, I'm not going to remember all of it. It's called FBI Handbook of Crime Scene Forensics: The Authoritative Guide to Navigation Crime Scenes. Federal Bureau of Investigation was the publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like sections on it. You can look up on how they collect evidence on each part. It's like a little dictionary, like 200 pages. So it's good to have like that around. So just in case, you get into a sort of debate with someone about how to, with evidence was collected wrongly, you can always pull it up and be like, okay, how does the FBI do it?
Absolutely.
And you won't be in a bad position where you're misquoting stuff, Say, well, it's the FBI that said it. Oh, here's another super chat for you.
Muddy Paws. Thank you, Muddy Paws. For Switch, you can have the physical card or a Nintendo account for online games, but it requires a credit card. Got you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Muddy Paws. The older PlayStation consoles, you do need the discs.
Yeah, the older ones. Yeah, I remember I think that when I was younger, I played the PlayStation, the actual PlayStation. It had the disc in it. So that's what I remember. And then I think PlayStation 2 had it, and then they started doing online, and I'd never gotten a system ever again after that. Never did it again. No, I threw that dog book out. I bought the physical copy and I read it, and it was terrible, and I threw it in the trash. I didn't even want to actually keep it as in my
In your
library.
collection?
I did not want to keep that in my collection at all. I felt like it was just going to dirty up the collection. Actually, I just think it's just a useless. It was so badly written, to be honest with you. It wasn't good at all. It was really bad. It was disjointed. It didn't make any sense. At one point, he's like, basically states like he was met by an angel in the fucking plane while he was planning on murdering his ex-wife's boyfriend, and he had a gun. and the guy talked him down. Yeah, and the guy talked him down. And then he noticed the guy never left the plane. So he basically was saying that he was about to murder a man after he got out of jail with a gun. And an angel talked him down.
Okay. Emerald said B Tim wouldn't even give a homeless person dog's book.
No, I think the homeless person has enough problems, and the book would not.
Why add to the stress?
Yeah, maybe if they could have used the book as fire, material, like to burn, it would be useful. Like, during the cold winters, throw it into the trash can, the bonfire in the trash, and burn it. That would probably be the only use for that book at that point.
Mr. Tomato Head, let's go back to this. Somebody hacked Sebastian's account shortly after he went missing.
Yeah, which is very odd because, like, who would know Sebastian's account?
Mm-hmm.
Who would actually know Sebastian's account and who'd want to get the PlayStation from the other house?
Right, and someone paid for Minecraft?
Yeah, and who's into video games and doesn't have tons of money? I wonder who that is.
Very interesting.
Like, just a thought. Just a thought. A mystery, as you say.
A big mystery.
Big mystery. But like, if his thing was hacked, was he like? Did he specify? Was it hacked after the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers or just before?
I don't think he said. He just said it was 2 weeks in, and he told Chris that he couldn't even watch the news because they have his stuff. And Chris said, well, you can come over and get Sebastian's. And he went the next morning, and Chris said, you can't have it because my account was hacked and someone bought Minecraft.
That's odd.
It is.
That is like really, really odd. I would probably, one of the questions I would ask is like, I'm surprised I didn't have asked in this interview, is like, was that before Sebastian went missing or was that after Sebastian went missing?
Right.
This hack. Because if it was before, that would kind of be like, well, how did that person?
When did he realize that someone had purchased Minecraft, right? Like, when did that come to Chris's attention? Between the time he talked to Seth and the next morning?
And then, like, after, I'd be like, well, what if, like, could that be related to maybe, like, the people that have him or trying to hack in or to use the account? I don't know. It's, like, something I'd probably want to know about if it was before or after. It would be kind of a big detail I would want to know.
I would too, Granny. Granny says, I'd love to hear this from Chris.
Yeah, I think that would actually be an interesting detail.
Did this even happen, right?
That's true. But I'm also wondering if this is even supposed to be told to anyone. Like if the Ellie was like, because like Chris is very good at not telling people what the police tell him not to say. You know what I mean? Not to spread that. And he's never mentioned that about the PlayStation being hacked, I believe. And suddenly Seth is saying it. And I'm wondering if that's one of the details they don't want out in the public.
Right. It might be part of that investigation.
Yeah. I'm wondering if that's the case too, because I just don't think it's, that's a pretty important detail, actually. If it's like, a while ago, I would probably say, well, okay, whatever, maybe his password got locked, hacked or whatnot. But if it's after, that's a pretty big deal to me. That's very odd.
Okay, let's listen to Seth say it. Here we go. Here's that clip.
Okay.
My stuff. I can't even watch the news. I can't do anything. I can't relax in my house. I can't sit down and watch a movie. And he was like, well, you can come pick up Sebastian's PlayStation. What do you still have this stuff? Yeah, we have all of our stuff. You can come pick up his stuff.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I go to Chris's house that morning. And this is 2 weeks later. And he's like, I can't give it to you. My account has been hacked and somebody has bought in games like Minecraft and stuff like that on his account. This is how I found out that they had never collected any of the electronics at that house. That means that it was more than 2 weeks before Katie even turned in the dash cam off of her vehicle. That tells me that they were suspecting me of having my son before they were even investigating the Proudfoots. They didn't do shit.
They asked you for an alibi?
Told them I was at work.
But did they ask you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I've been at work for the last 12 hours. I was at work starting on camera at about 6 o'clock when I pulled into the garage until I left Monday morning after 7 o'clock.
Did they tell you that they were going to verify that?
Yep. And I
did
told
they
them,
tell you if they ever did verify that?
They did verify that.
They told you that they did.
Yep. My work let me know that they verified it as well.
There you go.
And how would that be verified, Seth? We know that there was time card stamps that were issued that your attorney got, but there's also, they would also go directly to the cameras showing that you were on pod and that you never left that area, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The way Davidson County works is that there's it's not the Freedom of Information Act, but you can request information because I'm a civil servant, which means I really don't have very much privacy when it comes to me being employed.
And there would be even less hoops to jump through law enforcement to law enforcement, correct?
Correct. They would, somebody would ask, they'd come in, and they would show them the video.
Gotcha.
So this is this still the first day?
That they asked this information where I was?
No, when they went through your house.
Yes, day one that they went through my house.
So you went back with them to your house from Chris and Katie's. And
Yes.
how long did that whole ordeal take?
They were here for about an hour and a half.
And then did you head back?
No, they told me to stay here.
To stay at your home?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Granny.
Hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. What's up?
Not much. But I don't think Seth's being honest here. Just because it was 2 weeks later that they had, the gaming devices and stuff back, there's a big difference because at their home, at the Proudfoot's home, Sebastian did not have unlimited access to the internet. So for the, detectives, police, FBI, whatever, to go through those devices would be a lot easier, quicker, and swifter than having to go through Seth's, where Seth admittedly Sebastian would play on his account.
He
And
did
speak to
say
other
they
people and
shared,
stuff.
right? Yeah.
Right. So at that point, the police have to, figure out who, was it Seth playing on this date or was it Sebastian? This weird message came through this app, which they have to get warrants for, was it Seth or was it Sebastian? So just because they had devices 2 weeks later doesn't mean that they never took their stuff. I mean, he even said they took their phones the very next day. So damn well they took everything. Maybe theirs was just easier to go through or less suspicious than Seth's. But to claim that means they never took it, that's just not true.
You got to realize one set of parents don't play any video games. The other, this guy plays video
Right.
games. So
I mean, that's a really good point because that would definitely muddy the waters, especially when you heard Taco saying, especially on the phone too, that Sebastian would play Call of Duty on Seth's phone with Taco.
Right.
So how do you know if it was Seth or Sebastian?
Right. And that's going to take a lot of time for the police to look through, to gather, to figure it out. And, maybe that, and I love that the other day when they were, when Vinnie Politan was talking about it, I made the statement that he didn't have Sebastian's gaming devices. And somebody argued with me and threatened me again with RICO for spreading misinformation. Well, here it is. I mean, who's spreading misinformation here? There's so many inconsistencies. It's extremely difficult to even know where to begin at. But I think what most people should be asking themselves, if he believed that Chris and Katie harmed Sebastian, they were such neglectful parents and blah, 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 why the fuck is he calling Chris Proudfoot, I can't even watch movies?
That's because he's full of it.
Because he's full of shit, because they coddled him and took care of him as if he was one of their children, to be quite honest, from what I've gathered from everything, from helping him get to Tennessee, helping him get a job, encourage him to keep the job, warning him to be careful what he says out here to the public. And they still to this day have not come out, despite the endless slander, defamation, and insults he slung their way. They still have not come out here and bashed this man one bit. And even the one time I spoke to him in private, he didn't have anything bad to say about Seth. And that's telling. Seth is like a toddler. Why are you calling Chris Proud? Call your mom. Pull on your big boy pants. Get money from your GoFundMe and go buy a fucking $25 Amazon stick. Why are you calling her? I can't even watch movies. Do you think I'm even thinking about movies? My kid's missing. I can't relax in my own home.
Well, why do you think he wanted to go over there? Do you guys think there's an ulterior motive?
Maybe he wanted to get back to whatever creepy shit Microsoft reported him for. Maybe he thought if he had another device, he can get back to his fix. I don't know.
What happened to that whole story too? Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you're saying Microsoft reported you, look up the only reasons Microsoft would report your, I mean, think about it. How many of you in the audience have ever had Microsoft report you to the FBI?
Wait a minute. Wait. I've never heard of this. How do you, I've never even heard that like Microsoft can even, I've never even heard that was even possible. Microsoft can report you.
Yeah. Well,
take a gander.
Microsoft can, Google can. I actually, a moderator of mine used to work for Google and she would sit there all day, and they would get things that were flagged for like CSAM material, that kind of stuff. Yeah, that kind of stuff. And then she would have to review it, and if it was a false flag, then put it through type thing. So they do monitor, and that was when I Googled it. That's what came up for me was the CSAM.
It says Microsoft might report you to the FBI if they suspect you are involved in serious criminal activity using their services, like child exploitation, large-scale fraud, identity theft, or other cyber crimes where your activity on their platform indicates a potential threat to others or violates federal laws.
Like, where did you hear this whole thing that he was reported?
He said it.
He said it.
He said it on Terry
my God.
Lynn's. He straight up said on Terry Lynn's that Microsoft reported him.
Oh my God.
And it was something to do with that 2016 Star Wars gaming laptop. And then, like Granny talked about the other day, the Riley Lively story came in with that laptop as well. There's so much surrounding Seth and his electronics, man.
The laptop that he's sitting there smirking that it took an officer 4 hours to try to get into. And you have to have an account. Well, why isn't there an account logged onto that laptop at every given time?
That was the switch.
I have tablets.
That was the switch. But still.
Oh, okay.
But still, why wasn't he logged in? Why wasn't Sebastian logged into his? Yeah, exactly. None of it makes sense.
And the fact that you want to intercept at that point and log them in and just be like, here, hold on. You just need an account. Let me get you into it. My son's missing. This is urgent. Do what you can do. Find what you can find. Please help me. Instead, you're going to sit there and like mock them. Like, I told you needed an account.
Right. Making it more difficult. The fuck? Mr. Tomato Head said, he also said that LE questioned him about the text to the 16-year-old waitress. Is that the Waffle House? Is that the Waffle House waitress? He had Sebastian get her number.
That would be. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
I never heard him say he was questioned about it, though. Where did he say that, Mr. Tomato?
Yeah, I've never heard he was questioned. I heard the story where he tried to get Sebastian to get the number for the 16-year-old and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You know what, Jay? Take a look, right? If you wouldn't mind. I want to. This bothered me more than anything, and I don't know if anybody else felt the same way. I posted. I didn't even go back and look, but can I screen share just really quickly?
For sure.
I just want to share this really quick. I want everybody to take a look. We saw the news put up new photos, right? All the photos at the bottom are all the photos we saw all along about Sebastian. That biggest photo right here, this is what and who we should be looking for. Not this innocent little boy here, not this cute little helpless looking boy here. This is a full, I mean, I feel like we've been misguided. I don't know if anybody else found that to be as jarring as I did.
We had this discussion last night after we watched Seth.
Oh,
we were looking at the photos in that new, that new video, or, the new news thing that came out yesterday. And there's a picture of Sebastian in a like sleeveless orange shirt. And he looks like he's very young. And we started,
he's like 8 years old there.
Yes. And we started looking at these 3 pictures, and they had that one of him where he looks older. And then they had, 3 pictures on the screen, and we're like, why does he look so much different in the one that's on the TBI on the bottom right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
He looks so
much.
Why
is that their main photo?
I don't know.
That looks nothing like him. If I came across that child, if I came across this boy, I wouldn't know it's this boy. So if I'm out here looking for this child or this child or this child or this child, I'm not looking for what looks like a 5'5" grown, almost grown. And Katie mentioned he was growing a mustache, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge difference between you're seeing puberty before your eyes. You're seeing a progressive photo. And yet these are the photos that have been thrown in our face along with baby photos, toddler photos. Why isn't anybody putting up what Sebastian actually looks like, which is that photo right there, which looks like a grown, a
young man. Yeah.
A young man, right. Not a grown man, but you know what I'm saying? A lot different than what we've been seeing. I mean, this is TBI's main photo right here. I'm sorry if that looks nothing. I mean, not nothing. You can tell it's the same child.
No, I agree. I have this photo, and I've kept it because I always thought it looked like the most recent one of him.
Yeah. And now we're finding out it's not. It's not even, I mean, I'm sorry, but I think that's such I don't know, maybe I'm being a little dramatic about it, but I feel like that's such a difference.
No, it is. It is. And it's important.
It is important. It's important to know that his hair comes down in this type of way, right? It's important. I mean, all of it. His eyebrows are darker than his hair, which means he's like my son, whereas in the summer his hair gets lighter, and in winter it gets darker. I mean, what are we looking here? I can't believe TBI has this photo as their main photo on the website.
Well, and they
And it's
also
such a
told us
difference.
that was from that weekend too, which is mind blowing.
That has
Well,
to be bullshit.
what does he look like without glasses?
That's a good question too. And actually, I think this photo is from that weekend, which has a bruise, looks like a thumb bruise on his throat.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but
I wondered if they
that's
didn't
weird.
use that picture because of that. I don't know why. I don't know why. And I've
I don't
always
know.
felt that there was some kind of reason that the TBI chose that picture. And then when Seth tells the story about Katie shoving the phone in his face, I wonder if she was pointing something out. Like, what is
Yeah.
this? Or
Like, I don't know. Did you grab him by his neck? Did you get pissed off? Did you hear he did something he shouldn't have done? I don't know. Could be
that's
a
where
world
my
of things.
yeah, that's where my mind went. Because I was thinking, what would make a mother shove a picture on a phone in the dad's face when he walks in after he's missing?
Unless it was like, look, he was fine. He was, you know,
He's
or
smiling.
it's
He
a,
was happy. Yeah.
right. Or as a look what you, I don't, it could be either way. I mean, honestly, we don't know. I just know that Seth knows, that Tony knows, that the FBI and the local police have more than what they're saying. When Tony sat there last night and said, there's no proof of life, I think he said after 7 p.m. that night or something,
He
you're
did.
blatantly fucking lying.
He
You're
did.
lying.
That is bullshit. He said there was no
He's
proof
lying.
of life after 7 p.m. on the 25th.
First off, they already had Binocular Bobby come out and say that there was a movement, that they saw things. We know there was Sebastian with the trash can. We know that Seth even just said about Katie with her car. So apparently the car, since Seth said it, the car has recording on it. Like they have one of those cameras, and it records the road, but it also records the voices inside. They know without a doubt that Sebastian came home with Katie that night. They know that. Why aren't they telling people that? So is he in Oregon? Is he in New York? Is he in a drain pipe in front of the Proudfoot's home? Or is he in Venezuela or with the Venezuela gangs? Which one is it? I feel like a lot of games are being played at the expense of this missing child, and maybe I'm more passionate about it because I'm being fucking taken for a run over it. But I mean, this whole thing, the whole production, this is licensed by At Night Media, which is a branch off of one. Shut the fuck up. Shut up with the bullshit. Stop it with the production act. Stop it with the fucking self-promoting and the wanting to get famous and pulling the politics into it and claiming Trump's involved in this and that and that. This is a 15-year-old boy from fucking Tennessee who had plenty of reason to walk out that door. Craddock never said that he never left the house. Matter of fact, the stations say otherwise. Doesn't even say he was last seen at that home at his address. It says he was last seen on the block of. And these people are playing all these games at what's going to get us attention, what's going to get us views. Now there was a sighting that happens to be their PI at a hotel where families live, where you're bound to see a teenager because families live there in low-income housing. And the tip goes in, and thank goodness they responded. And Seth says, thank goodness it wasn't Seth or Sebastian. Weird. I would have been like, fuck, I'm so disappointed it wasn't him. I was so hopeful it was, but he says, thank goodness it wasn't. Well, I don't riddle me that.
Well, and not only that, Granny, then he puts down Sumner County, who showed up right on the scene, right?
Rapidly showed up where even Nick was giving them credit, like, yay, thank you. You know, they showed up so quickly and it was fantastic. And, you know, because all they want is a working relationship with these guys. That's it. And it seems like they're not so willing to work with them for obvious reasons. The most being that Seth has been nothing but a nuisance to them from day one, maybe even a prime suspect for all we know. So they're not willing to give in, you know, let's not interlock and we're going to play detective and robbers with this group of wannabes. So no, of course, I mean, imagine if I just called them today and said, hi, I have an intelligence agency. Yes, sir. A few months ago was just a news organization, but now we're an don't look up my record. Don't you dare look. No, sir, stop it. Listen to me. I was helping out a buddy at the FBI. That's all. But anyway, we work with the elite. $500,000 to hire us. And we want to know what you have going on in your investigation. Who the fuck's going to tell these people what the fuck they're doing in an investigation? It's like the Joe Schmo calling. You don't just get insider sight to all of this. The whole thing's been a mockery. It is being done for whatever attention and gain that can be had by it. I encourage anybody who wants to play that stream and let them copyright strike you. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have a mark. They're no above any of us. Copyright is copyright. Follow fair use, and they can't copyright you. It's all a gimmick. It's all
You're
a
right.
game, and I'm personally so pissed off.
I think the $500,000 is in Zimbabwe money. That's like $500 in American.
Yeah, it's right there with the 200,000, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's probably Zimbabwe.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Sorry, don't got me started. Let me keep going.
You're good, Grant.
Who the fuck on God's green earth raises a reward when their tips are hot, when the tips are credible? First off, if they were credible, you'd have answers. So let's cut with the credible tips bullshit. You say credible because it makes it sound more credible, but in all actuality, if it was credible, you'd have answers. So let's stop there. Secondly, the whole point of reward is to get people talking. If people are talking, you don't raise the reward. At this point, hell, if I knew something, I'll meet you when you're at 300,000. Keep raising it. Keep raising it. Not only that, but 2 months ago, they raised the reward because of internet trolls. Now they're raising it because of the Venezuela gang. Okay, so maybe somebody in the gang wants the fucking money. So now we're going to wait because if you raised it to 200,000, I'll call in a few more tips. I mean, the idea of what they're doing is so ass backwards from actual professionals that is it any wonder that they're not professionals? And this whole true crime, Josh the Lab and everything, you want to have your head up people's asses? You fucking know better. You just dragged Nick the Hat and Betty not even two freaking 3 weeks ago. But because you see a little extra clicks and views and you feel bad for your buddy Seth, that you're going to sit here and put your head in the sand and not call out the ludicrousy that is happening before your eyes? And all these fucking idiots that want to sit there and pretend there's any credibility to anything that is happening? I mean, just look at their team members. They can't even get their story straight. And we're supposed to believe this is an elite group of fucking special investigators. None of them are even in Tennessee.
Preach, Granny.
I'm serious. This is fucking aggravating. You know why? Because right before Christmas, I have to give off a $7,000 fucking dollars I don't have to fight this frivolous bullshit because this motherfucker doesn't want any criticism when they're reaching for this production company.
She is fired up for good reason.
It's bullshit. And let's look at
Let's get some watermelons in chat, y'all.
Originally, he walked in and Katie shoved a phone/photo in his face, right? But then later in her interview, she wasn't even there until after he searched. Was that before or after you sat in your car for 10 fucking minutes? My child's missing. I'm barely putting my shit in park before I'm jumping out of my car. But he sat there for 5 or 10 minutes just looking around. What? Duper's delight? You excited to see? Oh, look how many people came out here. Tell me you wouldn't be jumping out of your vehicle. My child's missing? What can I do? Oh, no. But he walks in the door after 5-10 minutes of sitting in the driveway, right? Took him, an hour to get there? Last time it was 30 minutes. Now he sped. Last time he didn't speed. And people want to talk about, well, Katie said there was a sound, and then she said it was a thud. She lied. It's a descriptive.
Inconsistencies.
It's not a lie. The inconsistencies of the Proud Fuzz are astounding. Yeah, I think more astounding is the red flags that have been waving in everybody's faces and they all want to ignore. Oh, how about he goes into Proudfoot home, right? Sebastian's bed wasn't made. Oh, almost like he was in it that night? Wow. Because we all know they're a military family and they're very, very keen on keeping their house clean. And one of Sebastian's biggest things we've all heard Chris get on him for was keeping a clean room. And you're not shocked to see his bed wasn't made? That's not proof enough that he was in there and then disappeared from it? Okay.
Well, it would be shocking if bed was made, and that would be like, okay, then
Yeah.
he never went to his bed.
If it was made,
That
I
would be
would
the
be
red
like,
flag.
why is his bed made, dude?
And then let's talk about the fact that Seth just moved to Tennessee 6 months ago. His last weekend with Sebastian was the 16th. Prior to that was the 2nd. And then he claims that the last time he saw Sebastian, if we go back to another interview, depending which Seth you want to see that day, he claims that Sebastian told him that Thursday that he did not want to go back to his parents. He did not want to go back to Chris and Katie's. And Seth said, I'm going to have a talk with them, son. How do we know that Sebastian didn't know that coming time was going to be his time to go to Seth's, and he was afraid that Seth was going to confront his mother, which 9 times out of 10, anytime poor Sebastian went to anybody for help, he ended up being reprimanded. He got in trouble. He reaches out to CPS, he gets in trouble. 5-year-old child says, my daddy's going to beat my ass to CPS. What's his punishment? Here, sit down, son. I'm going to show you what an ass beating is.
Here's blood mode. Mm-hmm.
Right. Here's blood mode on the most graphic thing you can see. This is a real ass beating. He goes to goes to school and says he got hit by Chris. What's the answer? Oh, I'm going to whip him with a belt. Every time Sebastian reached out for help, apparently he went to Robin, and Robin said, oh, I'll keep your secret, sweetheart. No big deal. Maybe that kid was tired of reaching out for fucking help and nobody was listening. And it didn't matter if he turned to the left. It didn't matter if he turned to the right. Every which way that child was turning, he was being manhandled by some grown-ass men, and he had a fucking enough. And maybe he took his whatever shit he had. They're not even being honest about shoes missing. And he ran out that door and said, fuck you all. Because I would have. I'm a grown-ass adult, and I want to turn around and say, fuck you all. He didn't have a chance. That kid didn't have a chance at either home, is my opinion.
I agree.
Then they're sitting there bitching, oh, they didn't reach out to Seth immediately? They didn't reach out to Seth immediately after Sebastian went missing? That's weird. Katie woke up and noticed Sebastian missing at 6 a.m. By 6:22, Seth was messaged and called. What do you mean they didn't reach out immediately? That's enough time for Katie to look around the house, give Chris a call, say something's weird here, I can't find Sebastian, and then reach out to Seth.
Did you hear him say last night that he made them a flow chart, basically, of all the numbers that they could call him at the jail? And he was
flow chart.
And he was really stressing the fact that they could have called him at work and didn't. But when he said that call came through at 6:22, I'm like, that lines right up with everything they said.
Wait, and didn't he say something about they would bullshit after work? They would bullshit in the parking lot?
Yeah, he was shooting the shit with the new officers.
He was shooting the shit. Ah, okay. So Hoover calls Terry Lynn saying he was off camera for 2 hours in the middle of the night. And Tony said, oh, he was sleeping in his truck. Now he just hangs around the jail after working a 12-hour shift shooting the shit. I can't with it. The whole thing, I'm telling you, either this is all being done with intent and with purpose. This whole idea of, oh, it's going to be an Easter miracle, or even saying to Craddock, the what if game. If somebody even dared imply to me that I paid to have my child kidnapped, my response would be, fuck you. Not, oh, did I win the lottery?
Yeah, a smart ass comment. Mm-hmm.
And then what did he say on the other smart ass comment? You want my bank of
records?
My bank of records? Well, yeah. What are your bank of records? Because this is in your sister's name. This is in the godmother's name. This is in this name. Can they even track your bank of records?
Yeah, it sounds like a challenge to me. Kind of like the 4 hours to get in the switch. It's
like a duper's
delight,
all of it. I'm sorry. I could never fathom my response being, did I win the lottery? No. How dare you even accuse me of such a thing? And in the beginning, Seth came out here saying they were fantastic. They did everything they could, blah, 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 blah. And now it's they didn't do shit. They didn't do shit because he got Betty in his ear telling him it's corrupt, it's politic based. You got Nick and his little gang that wanted nothing more than be seen in the political fucking world. And they're trying to pull politics into this missing child's case. And they are using Seth but he's allowing it. But no matter what, that is a vulnerable man that is turned to a bunch of misfit, felon criminals, fucking current whatevers. And he's literally signed himself over to these people.
Literally.
And the whole thing.
Literally.
Like, what is even going on? I think Terry Lynn needs to be looked at more. She's a huge problem.
Potato didn't hear Seth say that about paying someone to kidnap his son. So I'm going to share this really quick. I just have a little short. Hold on. You'll probably have to, if you want to hear it, it'll be on YouTube.
The last time I spoke to them in person, they were like, well, we're playing the what if game. Like, what if you did pay somebody to kidnap your son?
And I'm like, well, last time I checked, I haven't fucking won the lottery. All right. And I live paycheck to paycheck to pay my bills.
Oh, it sounds like somebody whose chatties used to being into in the middle of the night. I can barely pay my bills. I work paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, this was a big money day, wasn't it? Oh boy, we got the GoFundMe, we got the Cash Apps, we got the Venmos going. He's telling creators, I won't do an interview unless you push these things. 3 creators came out and admitted that, by the way. Not 1, not 2, but 3. That the stipulation for him doing an interview was that they push his payments. And now all of a sudden, he's being sold this big idea of being a big production. We're even going to have the president's administration come in on this one. We're going to change bills. We're going to be on the head of fucking news everywhere because we are going to make changes and the political scene. And then we're going to have a Netflix documentary. And Seth, you're going to be golden, boy. You're going to have a homestead and you're going to do all these great things. The Gabby Petito Foundation, we're going to set you up just like them. I'm telling you, he's being sold that dream.
Oh, for sure.
And people laughed. Oh, a production? Yeah, get your head out of the fucking sand.
Well, go look at the thumbnail from last night. It looks like a production.
For rights to play this, email
Sherry has just
at Night
donated
Media,
$50.
which is in a corporation with One Media. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much,
Please.
Sherry. Hold on one second. Sherry, thank you so much. Let me thank a couple people. Sherry just donated through the tip line. Thank you so much for your generous donation, Sherry. Sophia Petrillo gifted 1 membership. Make sure you thank Sophia Petrillo. Did I miss anybody else? Thanks, guys, for your support.
Yeah, I'm going to inform you, trademark doesn't work that way. Trademark does not work that. It's like copyright. It does not work that way. It works as if like, basically, if you don't confuse the like if you were pretending to be like at night to make the video and add it, that would probably be where like trademark comes into play. It's just like, let's say I made like bootleg Disney toys. People would be confused. They'd be like, "Whoa, what are these toys? They look like from Disney, but they're not Disney. They're bootleg." That would be trademark. That's what my understanding is. If he's talking about copyright, then fair use comes into play with that video because it's online.
Right. That's what he tries saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like they're overselling themselves. Again, I want anybody. I don't care if you believe the Proudfoots are guilty, if you believe Seth's guilty, if you believe they're innocent. I don't care. I want anybody with common freaking sense to ask themselves what reward gets raised when the tips are hot and credible. They don't. You know why? Because if anybody had a credible tip, they're going to say, well, you know what? I'll wait till they raise it another 25,000. These guys are raising it so quickly. I'm just going to wait out. Hell, I might get myself 400,000 by the time this is done. And then dog to say it's all pledged by who? Who's pledging it?
Well,
Why isn't Lasniak setting up a fucking it wouldn't it be a trust? What would it be? What?
Like a escrow or
An
escrow account. Yeah.
Why is there an escrow account? And then you got the dog even saying, every ticket I sell to my events, I'm going to give money to Seth Rogers, a percentage, not 1%, for Sebastian's college fund. But then at the same time, he's saying he's dead in a fucking sewer drain. They're playing with the emotions of everybody, every single one of us, regardless of quote unquote size, that have been here since day one, putting this child's face out there. They are playing on the good hearts of the people that genuinely want Sebastian to come home, all to line their pockets, is my opinion, based on what I have seen and what will be seen when all is said and done.
Yeah, and that's why I say the only reward that I think is valid is the $50K.
Well, why isn't TBI acknowledging anything other?
Right.
Where the fuck is Sumner County? Where are you? You don't think at this point you owe us something?
I would think at least at this point they would come out and clarify like at least the beginnings of the investigation and just like, because there's so many rumors, man.
How about let's start with, do you believe there is any gang-related participation in Sebastian's disappearance?
Right.
Let's start with that. Give us that at least. And if they do believe that the Venezuela gang, international, whatever they called it, is involved, then apologize to Chris and Katie and stop this bullshit with this RICO shit. Because what they are trying to do is they are trying to claim that we are all working underneath Chris and Katie, who are also has Sumner County and all them involved. And they're trying to think that they're going to get this so deep that they're going to unravel this whole corruption, and it's so fanciful. I mean, it's not even based in reality, not even in the slightest. That is a waste of the court's time. And most importantly, it's a waste of their investigative elite, whatever time, ninja time that they could be spending on Sebastian and credible leads and tips.
Well, you're thinking in term and like a little bit wrong. The whole thing, like you're asking, like why do they raise the amount of money being offered when they're getting like these tips? I think the point is to get publicity.
Right. That's exactly the point.
That's the point. The point is to get publicity, in my opinion, to basically get people to talk about them. And what's the fastest way to talk about them? Add about a Venezuelan gang and talk about how you're going to get money, more money.
Oh yeah, bring RICO into it.
Yeah, and it's all really just a publicity stunt because in the end of the day, what they really want to do is they want to go viral. They want to get like, a lot of views. Yeah, they want to like be able to use this to like, get a show going. And that's what's pretty much, in my opinion, is happening. And you're asking and I think like at this point, I do kind of agree that like, I think Sumner County should come in and be like, listen, the only credible tip is from us. Like please don't listen to uncredible tips, like these tips that, because the problem is like a lot of these tips they're not from the police. They're not legitimate tips.
And not only that, but so you're right. I mean, my question was still being asked in that format. Do you think they're really raising the reward because of credible tips or for publicity? They tried with the RICO. Not many people took the bite. That one news agency in Tennessee, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting sued one day. They're so reckless with their reporting. That's neither here nor there. But with this idea of having their own PI stalking out places where they know families live 24/7, it's not just for vacation and all that. We keep hearing about this, this vehicle and whatever. And I believe there was a vehicle caught on the cameras that night, but whatever. And I think they know that and they're playing off that. But what they are doing is they are creating such if you give us a tip that is credible, we give you a shout out, right? Look at that crime, whatever, Jay with an bitch. All of a sudden, she's like, I'm talking to Dog's team, and she feels all part of, and she's insulted that her ass from Canada called over to Sumner County, and they said, hey, random YouTuber from Canada, we're not going to tell you about our investigation, and how dare they? And the chat's filling up with, oh my God, they're corrupt, and blah, blah, blah. People have lost their common sense because that is what these guys wanted them to do.
Agreed.
They have used them. They have used the whole us versus them mentality, and now they've sprinkled a little bit of politics in there. And what do you have? A frenzy of idiots that are now running off emotion instead of common sense. Well done, but it's fucked up because it's at the expense of an actual missing 15-year-old child and his loved ones, including his father.
I agree. Let me read some of these super chats. Southern-ish, thank you. Who does this guy think he is, and why does he have such a big mouth? Dolly is in Tennessee searching now, and they are not, so there's that. That was an older one. I don't know what we were talking about. One-Eyed Flo gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Music City, but he didn't mention that Sebastian would try to call that phone because he knows the number. Oh, I did read that one. Seth, Misty Blue, $5 super chat. Thank you. Seth said they were at his home for an hour and a half. When exactly did they spend the 4 hours trying to get into the device?
Well, when the police take your phone, right, they just take the physical phone. They don't take your phone number. They just take your physical phone. Even Hunter in Summer Wells' case never got his phone back. And he eventually had to go get a new phone, right? That's what you do. The minute the police took my phone and my child's missing, I'm running to the closest store to buy another phone with the same phone number so my child can call me. We've heard Seth state several times, I still have the same number, son. You can call me.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about Chris and Katie aren't actually out there pleading for Sebastian. When is Seth? Respectfully, when has Seth gotten on the camera and said, please bring my child home? Sebastian, come home. He did it in the beginning, but not since certain people have come on his quote unquote team. And that's based off interviews, not my feelings. That's based off facts.
Their own words. Snazzy, thank you for your super chat. She said the weekend before the meeting about Sebastian living with Seth, Sebastian didn't want to. Seth said he spoke privately with Sebastian and he changed his mind. Bruise makes me wonder how old the bruise was.
So it wasn't the weekend before. It was the weekend of the 2nd.
Okay, so we
that
verified
conversation
that
took place.
it was the weekend of February 2nd that they
And
had
then
that
Seth-
conversation together, and Sebastian said, no, I don't want to live with you.
Right, that's the whole family. Now, on the 16th is when Seth has Sebastian alone and claims that Sebastian said, oh, no, yeah, I do want to live with you, which he possibly did. Maybe he was afraid to tell his father otherwise. Maybe he was reactionary at that moment and said, I don't want to live there, and, and whatever. I mean, kids do that all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all true. But at what point are people going to acknowledge that the only big change set to happen in this kid's life was that he was meant to do online schooling, and ask yourselves why? I'm so tired of the stupidity and people not looking back at the entire picture of everything we heard, whether it hurts your feelings or not, and putting together exactly what is going on here. Doesn't take a rocket scientist. And it baffles me that a team of elite investigators that cost $500,000 to hire,
Zimbabwe dollars,
or Monopoly, depending on.
Well, yeah.
They went off the emotions of the people closest tied, right? Because we know, according to Nick, he reached out to the Proudfoots and to Seth to get involved. He saw JLR was doing great because his first ever comment on this case was, thanks to JLR and his audience's persistence, we are now on the case. Because he saw that it was a trending topic and they didn't have anything else going on. He saw the biggest moves with Danilo Cavalcante, whatever. So he reaches out and says to these people, I guess, approached them like secret ninjas, put a 1 in the chat if you're going to hire a random parolee from PA that claims they're secret ninjas to investigate your child's case. So, of course, the Proudfoots looked into everything. They said, no, we'll do without. Thank you. We don't need Dog the Bounty Hunter and this and that. It's already a circus online. We're not looking for more publicity. We're looking for our son. But Seth, on the other hand, he said, oh, yeah, we'll take it. Great idea. Tony gets read his Miranda rights by Dog and still at that moment doesn't say, what a fucking joke this all is. No, because at the end of that joke, despite them knowing it all, that is a joke, they are promised something. And what are they being promised? A 50c3, production, money, fame, popularity, changes in politics. Did you ever notice these idiots all go on about the same shit around the same time? You got Betty talking about Tennessee having the highest missing children, which is not even factually correct, but how they need to stop. They need to get up there to legislation. We need to change legislation. Betty, the only legislation you changed is Florida passing a law to keep your stupid ass from doing what you did during the fucking Gabby Petito case.
Yeah, congrats.
That's the closest you'll ever get to changing anything when it comes to legislation. But this is what they're being promised. And somebody like Tony, who was also excited to use his drone during the Idaho 4 case and fanboy over photos with the actual news people, this is what he's been looking for. And they found Seth Rogers, an actual grieving father, who wants nothing more than for his son to come home and a few more ass pats, in my opinion. And he suckered it up. He loved it. He ate it up. They can't even keep the story straight from last week to this week. Is Sebastian alive or is he dead? Can these private investigators tell us that much? Are we looking for an alive child or a deceased? That would be the first start to the public.
Absolutely.
But it depends which one you ask. Because if you ask Betty, he's deceased and his parents did it. If you ask Dog, he's in a drain pipe, but maybe he's in Oregon or New York, or perhaps he crossed the border already. And now we got the Venezuela gangs. It is an emotional pull. That's all they're doing. And they're doing great at it because I see people licking it up. They're loving it. It's a shame. Really is a shame. What a mess.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Wait,
That's what Chris Wash used.
Yeah. So it says Calculator Vault is your go-to solution for hiding any app and maintaining your privacy by concealing them. So you can also hide apps in there. Chris Watts hid pictures and videos, whatever the fuck he had in there. But it looks like you can also hide any apps. So let's say Sebastian had a burner phone and someone put a calculator app on there and put like Call of Duty Mobile on it. And it was hidden in the calculator app. you wouldn't see it. If you just looked at the phone, you'd think it looks like a calculator. So I just wanted
Seth
someone was asking in chat. Yeah, he did. Go ahead.
He offered him a burner phone. He said, I can put Call of Duty on this phone for you, son. You want this burner phone? Like, he didn't have to tell his parents about it, type of thing. Like, I got you. Because Seth believed, and I'm not saying he's wrong, a lot of parents will also agree that at 15 years old, Sebastian deserved a little more independency. And I agree with that. But were there reasons and events that were preventing the trust of that independency? I don't know.
Well, I don't think necessarily maybe a burner phone, but I think he said that he took an old phone and he said, I'll clear this phone out for you, son. And then
I'm pretty sure he called it a burner phone.
But it describes what he was using as his Wi-Fi phone as his second phone. Was that second phone really Sebastian's?
I mean, I don't know, because I'll be honest. I bought a phone and it didn't have screen record. I couldn't get my Cash App on, whatever. So I went back to my old phone. But I do from time to time use my old phone to watch videos or whatever because it still works on Wi-Fi. So I don't find that so abnormal. I find the way he presents it abnormal, but it's not really that abnormal. Or you let your child use it, here, use this phone because they can use it in the house, and no matter what, you can dial 911.
Right, but he said he was going to do it, that he didn't.
Yeah.
So he kind of tells a story, right? So Sebastian's regular phone, that was through Katie. He said to them, why can't you at least just let him have a calculator on this phone? So that kind of tells me that maybe there was some shit on there and they were like, oh, hell no. You're not having shit because you're sneaky. You snuck shit by us.
That's what I mean. Maybe there was a reason they couldn't fully trust to give him further independency. And Seth would know that. You would hope Tony would know that. And also, I know people keep saying like, oh, well, his autism is autism. It has been stated by not only Sebastian's teachers, but by others, that he would beat grown adults in a game of chess. That if you didn't know his diagnosis, you wouldn't even know he had a diagnosis. He has been described as highly intelligent. But because for so long they have showed you these infantile photos of him and they have downplayed his intelligence, people are literally out here describing Sebastian like he was a baby. Like he was 8 years old. No, he's a 15-year-old kid, almost turning, he'll be 16, but he wasn't at the time, newly diagnosed with autism, highly intelligent, and growing a mustache. Stop making it like he's incapable. The way people describe him is with intent again, because you're not picturing an 8-year-old who's just going to run out into the darkness of their night.
Right.
No,
He's going to be
but a
16.
15-year-old with a flashlight and a reason. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I got to skedaddle. You guys,
I should probably skedaddle too because I just get too passionate about this. But I'm actually going to see the movie Red One.
Well, thanks you guys for coming up. I appreciate it.
By the way, Mr. Tony Mathis gave consent to record him apparently on that live stream. So make sure you
across the board.
That part beats him. And how about the part where they acknowledge that the true serum actually did take place, but yet in their filing they say that we made that up.
Well, perjury's a crime, so I hope they know about that.
That's what I mean. A lot of this should be a crime. I don't know if it is a crime, but I know a lot of crime codes were listed throughout a civil filing, and the only people I see breaking these crime codes are and it just is. I mean, look, I'm not wrenched at Queen Bee. Queen Bee's not wrenched at me. I don't wrench Clue. We're not barbecue. Nobody even fucks with barbecue like that. She's never even on YouTube. She's on TikTok.
Yeah.
But if you look at them, they run in a gang. They are our squad. They moderate each other. They advertise each other. They financially celebrate each other. They all come out with the same, quote unquote news at the same time. They all go with whatever topics being pushed. Like I said, from we're going to change legislation to this, to that. They all do it at the same time. If anybody is actually running an operation here, it would, in my opinion, it's them.
Yeah.
That's how it appears.
Sure does. But thank you for having me, B. Tim. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your day.
All right.
Always a pleasure. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you. Maybe we can do this again later, Jay, but I got to get ready for this movie.
Hey, have fun at the movies. Enjoy your Saturday.
Thank you.
All right. See you later,
All
GW.
right, see you later. Bye.
Bye. That is a tough poll, you guys. Go ahead and get your votes in. I just wanted to go over this calculator thing for you real quick for the people that don't know. This is probably old. This is from 2018. But Says a new app proves how easy it is for kids to be sneaky with their phones and what parents need to pay attention to. The Calculator Plus app is available for iPhone, Android, and tablets. It looks almost identical to the calculator you'd find on these devices. And it even functions as a calculator. A user must type in the app's correct passcode to access the app's secret function, which is to hide pictures and videos. Well, now it hides apps as well. So I'm trying to find out how you know the difference. Okay, so what to look for. Several ways you can tell the difference between the secret calculator and the standard calculator on your phone. The Calculator Plus app has a small plus sign right next to the title underneath the icon. There are versions of the app that don't include this sign. So can you even tell? That's it? A little plus sign that may or may not be there? Well, I guess if you click on a calculator and it asks you for a damn code, you might not be in a calculator. Just saying. Yeah, I've never seen it with a plus because I actually downloaded it when Chris Watts did it, and there was no. It looked exactly the same. Right, that's what I'm saying. He's like, why can't they? What did he say? Can he at least? Let me get my notes. Can he at least get a calculator on his phone? Granny, you are perfectly fine. You can come up anytime. I understand why you're upset. I totally understand. All right, let's end the poll because it was a difficult one. We've got 300. Get your votes in. Got 10 seconds. 10 seconds to get your votes in. Then we're going to look at those results. All right, let's see where we stand. And the results are what? Okay, so your choices. What happened to Sebastian? Someone is hiding him, 36% of you. Lured by an unknown person, 25% of you. Ran away on his own, 21% of you. Someone hurt him, 17% of you. But that was only with 375 votes. She does have a right to be passionately annoyed. I agree, Fiddle DD. Yes, you have to open it with a password, Crimes. The secret one. Hey, Legal Extraction with Julie. Good to see you. Thank you for your email, by the way. Jammers. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. I appreciate talking through this. It's really the most that we've gotten in a while, and I appreciate you guys, being open-minded enough to kind of, compare these stories and what's going on and keeping Sebastian's name out there. Yeah, Mr. Tomato Head. It does have a password or a passcode. I don't know. I know. Lots of diverse thoughts. Thank you, Pine. Thank you, Sherry, for donating right to J is for Justice Studio Fund. I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys being here. All of the new members, please take advantage and join us in Discord. Monday, we're going to be watching the new John Bonet Netflix series in our Discord watch party. And then next Saturday is a big live stream I'm going to have on a John Bonet theory that is going to blow your minds. Me and the Zell brothers, if you want to look them up in the Zeller, are going to be live streaming for you, walking through their theory. If you want to hear their theory, it is on True Crime Garage in a 3-part series right now. But we're going to have Frank and Jim on next Saturday afternoon. So clear your schedules. This is going to be the John Bonet theory that you've never heard in great detail. Don't miss it. Thank you, everyone. Hit that like button on your way out. Thank you, moderators, for being wonderful and beautiful in that blue. Pine Needle, if you need help in Discord, go ahead and go into the help desk. I can't wait for the Zell brothers. Potato, me either. So get your questions ready. Get your questions ready. And we will do that. Maybe we'll have a panel about Menendez, Rebel. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. Open panel about the Menendez about Lyle, because a lot of people disagree with me. 6 months, Crimes. Thank you for being a member for half a year. She says, in my opinion, this interview made Seth look more guilty. Huh. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think this interview did. Desiree knows the Zell brothers. Yay! Yeah, they're going to be on next Saturday with me. Get ready for a 3 or 4 hour live, guys. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right, guys, let's run our credits and hopefully dance it out. I don't know. My hard drive's not plugged in. So if there's no dance it out, I apologize. But I love you all. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Everybody enjoy your Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this live stream or video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my latest content. Want to take it a step further? Bring it all in. And join our community clickers by becoming a Patreon or a YouTube member. You'll get exclusive access to our Discord server, special channel perks, and much more. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.
Click. It's real easy, man.